talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 2 minutes past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Another Australian bowler has been ruled out of the first Ashes test. Backup quick Sean Abbott joins captain Pat Cummins on the sidelines. More concerning for the Aussies, though, is frontline seamer Josh Hazlewood needing a scan during a domestic game. Stand-in skipper Steve Smith was playing alongside Hazlewood.
He literally bowled his last ball and I looked at him, I said, how you going? He's like, nah, a bit tight in my hamstring. And it's like, get off the field, disappear, you're done, go and figure it out. So, yeah, fortunately it was just some tightness and he's good.
Cricket Australia say Hazlewood will train as normal ahead of Perth next Friday. Meanwhile, Ben Stokes has brushed off criticism from ex-players he calls has-beens over England's lack of big match preparation. He's also been asked how his inexperienced squad are dealing with the media scrutiny down under.
There's a lot more that goes on away from the cricket itself, and it's just making everyone aware that that's the case, but making sure that it's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be scared of, and you know, don't shy away from the opportunity that's in front of us.
There's more Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube. Wolves are expected to unveil Rob Edwards as their new manager today. We understand Edwards is taking Middlesbrough assistant Harry Watling with him. And Novak Djokovic says questions over Yannick Sinner's 3-month doping ban will hang over the rest of his career like a cloud.
The lack of transparency, the inconsistency, the convenience of the ban coming between the slams so he doesn't miss out the others. It was very, very odd. Very, very odd.
Djokovic told Piers Morgan Uncensored he doesn't think Sinner took a banned substance on purpose, but he is responsible.
talkSPORT News.
Since Labour took office, 1 million more people are claiming benefits without needing to look for work, and 7 men have been charged with over 40 offences against 11 teenagers in a Bristol child sexual exploitation case. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got more premium tyres than the number of times you'll hear, ooh, it's a bit nippy this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
Rain moving from the south into central areas, wet across northern Scotland as well. Elsewhere, mostly dry, windy in the north and southwest, mild in the south.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. So Howard Webb responds to that Van Dijk disallowed goal. After all the complaints, have Liverpool been put back in their box? Meanwhile, Burnley's Hannibal Mejbri is charged with misconduct after allegedly spitting at or in the direction of Leeds fans. If proven, what kind of punishment should that carry? Also today, are Celtic going from club legend into the unknown? Do idealists need a dose of realism? Regards Rob Edwards. Top boxing trainer Joe Gallagher will join us as our Fight Week coverage continues. Has Silva hit a Fulham plateau? And is the era of international big club bias well and truly over? It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we're live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
I have no name, I have no life, I breathe no vital air. No elements have moulded me, no bodily sheath is my lair. I have no speech, no hands, no feet, no means of evolution. Consciousness and joy am I, and bliss in disillusion.
Yes, welcome along to Poetry Corner with Jim White and Simon Jordan, Chris Eubank Sr, Danny Murphy. Have you recovered, Simon?
Well, I had another hour of it.
Yeah, how did that go, mate?
It was, I mean, Chris is Chris, isn't he? He's a cross of between narcissism, fantasism, and entertainment. And inside there is some real earnest and decent thinking, and fundamentally he's a very decent man. I just don't understand the purpose of 4 minutes of poetry. It's wonderful, isn't it? It's like, can you imagine someone being, if I came into the studio and said I wanted to do Keepy Uppies and I want the world to watch me do it, everyone would go, well, why do you want to watch you do that?
Yeah.
Why does Chris think that the world wants to listen to him recite poetry?
One thing
God love him. God love him.
To the listeners and the viewers, is that it was totally unrehearsed. You and I had no idea it was coming, and Eubank Sr. nailed it.
He'd obviously spent time rehearsing it himself.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, he nailed it, Danny. I mean, from start to finish, he is an entertainer.
Made me turn off. Didn't entertain anybody, that.
Committed to memory. I mean, it's a real skill, isn't it, to be able to... Actors can recite lines. And he went for 3 minutes for his own reasons, and all of us sat there wondering what they were.
Yeah.
But he did it, and that's Chris.
Funnily enough, I watched a drama last night about Richard Burton. And my God, it made me think of Eubank Sr. earlier on in the day, just reciting endless.
I'm surprised neither of you didn't walk out.
It's not in our contracts to walk out.
No, fell asleep.
We've got to see it through until 1 o'clock.
Myself and
mate.
Jim did sit there looking at one another. The gallery sat there looking at Jim, started saying to me, so have you been? Chris don't care. He doesn't care.
And briefly, Talk Boxing, I take it this is going to be well worth watching.
Yeah, it has its moments.
Yeah.
It has its moments where Chris and I find ourselves in directly opposite polemic positions.
Yeah.
But he is what he is, and you know what you get. And if you put Chris Eubank in the studio, you've got to suffer some of the... if you pray for the rain, you'll get some of the mud, right?
Right. Well, you can tune into the Talk Boxing YouTube channel right now, and you'll be able to see how Simon coped with Chris Eubank Sr. And Paul Smith was with you, was he?
Yeah, Paul's brilliant. And
excellent.
So is Spencer, yeah.
And Spencer Oliver, of course, as well. A thoroughly entertaining day. Nigel Benn, briefly, Simon, I thought spoke brilliantly as well.
So did I. I thought that it was a great hour and a half for anyone listening to it, whether they were massive boxing fans or not.
Yeah.
I thought Nigel was fascinating. He's at a very different stage in his life. He speaks in a very different way than some of the videos that we saw 30 years ago where he was very angry and aggressive. But he speaks in a way that you just find yourself wanting to be involved in the conversation. And Chris comes in and adds another dimension. And I thought for an hour and a half worth of radio, I thought it was, without putting ourselves in the middle of it, I thought it was first class.
Yeah.
I did.
No,
I enjoyed it.
It was something else to be involved in it. And thanks to everybody who was watching, listening, and all the reaction that you gave to it. Danny, in terms of reaction, there's been a massive reaction to that goal that was chalked off, the Liverpool goal, scored by Virgil van Dijk against Manchester City when Liverpool were 1-0 down at that particular time. Van Dijk headed in a corner. Robertson ducked down next to the goalkeeper, Donnarumma. He was in an offside position and deemed to be interfering with play. Incidentally, in the passing, Danny, did you think goal or no goal?
It should have been given, mainly because the rule they disallowed it with, it doesn't make sense because it's the only rule they could have used to disallow it, which was making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball. Now, the action that Robertson did by moving out of the way of the ball didn't impact Donnarumma. The reason we know it didn't impact him because he dived before he made the motion of getting out of the way.
Right.
So he started to try and make the save and he couldn't get there. If he'd delayed the save, maybe anticipating a touch from Robertson or a motion from Robertson, fair enough, but he didn't. So the VAR just needed to watch it properly, and then you couldn't apply any of the rules.
So with that in mind, are you probably behind Liverpool contacting the PGMO yesterday to raise serious concerns about the decision, suggesting they don't accept that the decision to disallow the goal was arrived at for subjective reasons?
I don't understand why they're doing it. Why would you do it? What's it going to achieve? And it's just glossing over the fact that you've got, they've got other things to be worrying about, bigger problems.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be any benefit for it. Maybe they're thinking it'll give them a decision in the coming weeks because they're complaining, but I'd be tempted to get on with it, start sorting out your problems that you've got under your own roof and not be sending letters to... I don't get that.
Well, I mean, there's a text from Neil in the World. Good morning, Neil. Robertson was offside. Why can't the pundits accept it?
No, we know he's offside, but that's not the rule. You don't disallow it just because someone's offside. Well,
the Premier League's explanation, the referee's call of offside and no goal to Liverpool was checked and confirmed by VAR. With Robertson in an offside position and deemed to be making an obvious action directly in front of the goalkeeper. That's what they said.
Yeah, the obvious action has to impact the ability of the opponent to play the ball, and it didn't.
But it's refreshing to hear you, a former Liverpool player, saying what they're up to, contacting the PGMO, they're wasting their time. The incident was looked at on last night's Mic'd Up show. This was the initial moment that Van Dijk scores, and the reaction between the officials on the pitch and those in the VAR booth.
Robertson's in line of vision right in front of the keeper. He's ducked under the ball. He's very, very close to him. I think he's line of vision. I think he's been impacted, mate. Okay, so offside then. I think offside.
Checking the on-field decision of offside against Andy Robertson. Delay. So you got clear offside position. You got a movement. You got a high range to show how high he is in terms of line of vision.
Very close to Donnarumma.
It does.
I agree with the on-field decision. I think he's offside. It's a clear, an obvious action which clearly impacts on the goalkeeper.
Yeah. Chris, it's Michael confirming the on-field decision of offside against Andy Robertson. He is in an offside position, very close to the goalkeeper, and makes an obvious movement directly in front of him. Check complete offside.
Now, to be fair to those in the VAR booth, they didn't hang around, and they got to that decision pretty quickly. These were Howard Webb's thoughts on the whole thing.
Well, he's certainly making an action. The action is one of ducking below the ball. The ball's coming towards him. He moves below the ball. It goes over his head. The issue with that, the officials have to judge, is does that position of Robertson there and the action of ducking below the ball impact Donnarumma? I think it's... Obviously, that's the conclusion they drew on that. They looked at that position, they looked at that action so close to the goalkeeper, and they formed that opinion. I know that's not a view held by everybody, but I think it's not unreasonable to understand why they would form that conclusion when the player is so close to the goalkeeper, the ball's coming right towards him, he has to duck to get out of the way of the ball, and they form the conclusion that that impacts Donnarumma's ability just to dive towards the ball and make that save. And then, of course, once they've made that on-field decision, the job of the VAR is to look at that and decide, was that outcome of offside clearly and obviously wrong?
So, Danny, we've heard the whole process, and we've heard Howard Webb say it's not unreasonable that they disallowed the goal. So, as a club, do Liverpool need to be put back in their box regards all of this?
Well, I don't know why you'd use that phrase, but I think if you listen to Howard Webb, it makes some sense. Of course, that's the type of decision that can go against you.
No, but you made the point yourself. Liverpool have got much bigger problems to be worrying about than the referee's decision.
Exactly. Why would you?
So get back in your box and worry about what is worth worrying about. Yeah, accept the decision, get on with it.
Yeah, I agree. Accept, because there's no benefit to doing it that I can see, and the reality is they've made the choice. I do think they made it a bit quickly, because if the bit that impact in the goalkeeper thing.
You can't win, Danny. If they'd taken more time,
I know,
you'd have been on
I know, and that's the problem, isn't it? Sometimes you just have to accept. Look, the reality is this: if Liverpool had scored that goal, I still think they lose the game.
Do you think
Slot
Slot would have complained if the goal was given against him? Because I said on the show,
given for him, you mean?
No, if ultimately he was conceding a goal that way, do you think he'd have been up in arms about that goal? Because I think he would have done. I think he'd have said,
yes,
that's off. So then this argument they have to stop, managers, because it's hypocritical, isn't it? If you would be up in arms if it was scored against you, how can you be up in arms when it's scored?
Well, we're hypothesising.
Hence, they need to be put back in their box, Danny.
Well, it depends.
Because Simon's right. It's hypocritical.
I wouldn't.
But it must be upon the clubs then and the FA to start introducing a code of standard around the way the managers are interacting with officials' decisions.
Well, you might know more, Simon, but where would this go to for them to make a decision to send? I'm assuming the manager wouldn't be going, you've got to send a letter. Would that be above him? Someone's thinking we'll do, because I'd like to know who in the club decides that they think this is beneficial.
Well, I would be amazed if the manager didn't form part of the thinking.
Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a club executive.
So you wouldn't, as an owner
so the public-facing perspective of the football club, the one that's going to have to answer the questions about this is the manager, and the one that you wouldn't consult is the manager. So you're going to throw him right under the bus in front of the media about something he knows nothing about.
Yeah,
of course he'd have been involved in it.
It sounds like some of these clubs have almost got Howard Webb on speed dial at the moment. I mean, yeah, accept it, get on with it. Liverpool contacted the PGMO to raise serious concerns about the decision. They don't accept the decision to disallow the... Get on with it. You made the salient point in this, Danny, is that it was 1-0, it would have made it 1-1. They still conceded 2 more and went on to lose the game. End of.
Yeah, I mean, we never know what impact it might have had on Man City or the flow of the game, but ultimately Liverpool's performance was so below par that that's where I'm thinking, deal with that. Let's have a look at the obvious problems, because this is just...
But it is fair to say that goals do change games.
They do, and you will.
And it would have rejuvenated Liverpool.
I
you
agree.
saw Virgil van Dijk running towards the camera saying, "Now let's get started.
Yeah.
Let's get started."
No, it could have done. It could have done, but you do get bad decisions, and this was a bad one. So sending a letter, I mean, what if every club does it every week? It must just be...
Let's put it out to Liverpool fans this morning. You've heard the process. You've heard Howard Webb on it. Are you still in the camp that your club is very firmly in? That it was right to contact the PGMO to raise serious concerns about the decision. You don't accept the decision. Well, you have to accept the decision, and everybody moves on. But do you still say, no, it was a point well made? Or are you in the camp of Liverpool, our club, has been put firmly back in their box? 03717 2233 44 81089.
to North London, Eubank Jr versus Benn on talkSPORT.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This is insane! Never seen anything like this!
The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank!
This is a moment in time that we will never forget.
And the final scene absolutely delivered. We'll catch you next time.
White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, live on talkSPORT. We're with you live on your TV, Fire TV, Apple, Prime Video, wherever you want to watch us. We are there for you. It's Wednesday, November the 12th. Overnight, I heard from former West Ham and Aston Villa midfielder Nigel Reo-Coker. And Celtic fans will be interested to hear what Nigel thinks of Columbus crew boss Wilfried Nancy being tipped to take over from Brendan Rodgers. Martin O'Neill still in interim charge. You'll hear from Nigel Reo-Coker very shortly. But this situation regarding Liverpool, as a club, have they been, and one or two of you are having a go at me for the language I'm using, but no, I mean, no apology for it. Have they been put back in their box
divisive
after contacting the PGMO to raise serious concerns about the decision-making process here, which led to Virgil van Dijk's headed goal disallowed at the weekend when it was 1-0 to Manchester City? Does it make their complaint this week to the PGMO look even more redundant? 03717 223344. Here's John, a big Liverpool fan. John, good morning to you. What's your take on this?
Good morning, lads.
Morning.
Just say great show as ever. Hello to Danny, here, old man.
Morning, mate.
I just want to say, you know, at the end of the day, when you looked at the actual video, etc., the lad was offside. That was the decision that was gave. Get on with it, move on, because, you know, the thing is, we came up against a very, very good Man City team. Doku's goal was good enough to have won the game on its own. You know, going backwards and forwards to the PGMOL, it's not going to change anything.
Correct.
What we need to do is change how we play and get on with it and shut up. I don't agree with what you say about putting us back in the box. I mean, that's my opinion. But certainly, I think, you know, they should just shut up, concentrate on what's wrong on the pitch.
Yeah.
Move on and try and get the points back.
John, what a very good call. Do me a favour, stay on the line, because here's David, another Liverpool fan, and I think, David, you've got a different view. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yes, I got a very different view. I completely disagree. Sorry, did you say your name was John? Is that what your name was? Sorry?
The previous caller who's still on the line is John, but
John,
you're through to us live, David. Go for it.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question. So you think we should just get on with it? So if we just get on with it and then complain, they're just going to keep doing it, making the same mistakes all over again. It's enough. We got to come together as fans, as football clubs, and say, this ain't good enough. Fix it. Get someone like Danny Murphy and get ex-players in the VAR. It's clear.
Fix
so
what,
bad.
David? Fix what? So it comes to the right decision in your favour.
But it's not the right decision. It's scandalous. It's not the right decision. It's completely wrong. Every rule, he anticipates, he went towards this. It's complete lies. He didn't do. It's a
John, fellow Liverpool fan. Hang on, David.
Simple.
Do you want to address what David's saying, John? On you go.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I disagree because you've heard my point of view. You know, let's not get overly heated about it because it's pointless. You know, I saw it for what it was, and you can argue how far do you go with this? Do you go into Europe and saying your refereeing decisions are appalling? We all know mistakes get made. We all know referees. Some are good, some are not so good, some are better than others. But at the end of the day, you know, you've got to admit the fact that we got beat by a better team. You know, and you just got to move on from there.
David, is that not the way to look at it, the way John's looking at it? Have Liverpool not got much bigger problems to be worrying about than a refereeing decision?
Well, no, because, Jim, I play football myself, and I know how it works. Danny knows how it works. Goals change games. We scored that goal. We haven't been playing necessarily that good. We scored that goal. It was 1-0. Like Van Dijk said, let's go now. Second half, we started really well second half. We go in at half-time 1-0, and then it's a complete different game. We could have walked away with that 2-1, 1-1, and all.
Maybe ifs and maybes. Is it not?
I think the key to this is...
Go on, Danny. David, thanks. John, thanks to you.
Does he believe that making the complaint changes things? You know, what is the... and what are they going to do? What's their answer going to be?
Well, you heard David there. If we all club together, we can change things.
But you're never going to change a situation where subjective decisions are in some people's eyes wrong and some people's eyes right. We've had it since day one, and we'll continue to get it because it's never going to be perfect.
Yeah, the system
and there
in
are
place,
some
though,
people...
Danny, the system in place, they put it into operation right away. VAR didn't take much time. They came to a decision. No, Liverpool, you're still 1-0 down. That doesn't stand. Move on. Howard Webb says it's not unreasonable that they disallowed the goal.
I understand that the reality is that I think if you look at the laws and you stay really neutral with it, 90% of people who I've spoken to watch football play the game say it should have stood. with the rules the way they are, because the rule doesn't apply. So I understand.
Simon's right. If it had been at the other end
Yes.
and Ruben Diaz had headed it in, no goal, it'd be Man City fans maybe coming on this morning.
Yeah, but that's where we've been at for
Are we ever
all
going to get to the stage? This system gets a heck of a lot more right than wrong. Accept it.
Well, yeah, hopefully it gets better, and I think it is. But you fans are passionate, about football and how passionate fans are and tribal. So whoever it is next week, they'll be on to us saying how bad a decision is, throwing conspiracy theories out there. There's a lot of stuff now being said about Michael Oliver and Liverpool and how good he is for Man City and all this thing. We always get the
Danny,
same
and a
stuff.
wider point, maybe a more important point, Liverpool are eighth, eight points adrift of Arsenal. Can they forget retaining their title?
Not because of the 8 points, that's surmountable, but the level of performance, don't look anywhere near it, especially away from home. Don't look at it. Too many players not playing well. Not solving the Salah problem, which is just so obvious to me. And I'm not saying he needs to be dropped, but he needs to be asked to defend like everyone else. Liverpool are defending with 9 men, well, 10 if you include the goalie. I did a piece on it on Sunday. I mean, I just don't understand that when you play good opposition away from home and you can let one person not defend.
Has Salah ever defended like everyone else?
Well, we were talking about this earlier with Simon. Look, the reason he's allowed not to defend is because he's so good going forward. And you adapt your team accordingly, which is great when you're winning and when he's scoring, because you're winning games. Because he's a match winner. He scores that often. He scores so many goals for Liverpool that it doesn't matter he doesn't defend because he's winning your games. Like last year, I think the first half of the season, what did they lose? 1 game? So it's fine. And generally it's fine at Anfield because you're dominating the ball. He doesn't have to defend all the time. That's not what I'm saying. But when you're on a losing streak and away from home, you can't get a win for love nor money, you've got to chip in and help your teammates. But the coach has got to tell him. And also, when he sees Bradley struggling on 2v1s with O'Reilly and Doku, Salah might just think to himself, do you know what? My mate needs some help there. I'm watching the game in disbelief. Chelsea beat Liverpool 2-1 a couple of weeks ago, and Cucurella said after the game they worked on it. They worked on going down Liverpool's right. Everyone's seeing it, right?
Yeah.
And Liverpool are on a hell of a bad run. When you're on a bad run, no matter how good a team you are, you need everybody defending. So it's the coach's responsibility to either say to him, look, you've got to start running back more, or I'm going to put someone in there who does. Now, you could argue it's not Salah's fault in some ways, because if the manager says to any forward, you don't have to defend. Most forwards will say, thank you very much, and conserve all their energy for attacking.
So is Salah not doing this because he can't or because he won't?
Because he's not asked. He can do it physically. Yeah, of course he can. The irony is, I watched a little bit back of Liverpool Man City last year when Liverpool went there and won. And Salah's defensive work was brilliant. He can do it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do it all the time, but when the chips are down, because the problem is, as soon as he doesn't do it, and Gravenberch is sprinting 50 metres to go and help Conor Bradley, and leaving Foden in the middle because you've got to go and double up or help on O'Reilly and Doku, then Liverpool are all out of sync. Players are all over the place.
Okay. It is 10:30 this Wednesday morning. A lot to get through because a lot's going on out there. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy live in talkSPORT. Selco, where the trade goes.
Rhys James is calling on FIFA to move World Cup kickoff times to help players deal with the heat of North America. Meanwhile, Bukayo Saka's told talkSPORT he's backing Thomas Tuchel to reintegrate Foden and
the talent they've got, you know, it's going to bring a lot of quality to the team. So it's very exciting. We're in a good place as a team and looking forward to what's coming this camp.
England versus Serbia is live on talkSPORT tomorrow evening. England are already qualified, as are the World Cup holders. But Lionel Messi's not sure he'll be fit enough to contribute next summer, and he says he doesn't want to be a burden to Argentina. Now, we understand Wolves will finally announce Rob Edwards as their new manager today, possibly early this afternoon. Elsewhere, Australia have lost another bowler ahead of the first Ashes test. Back up quick, Sean Abbott joins captain Pat Cummins in the treatment room. Josh Hazlewood's also had a scan on his hamstring today, but is expected to train as normal ahead of next week's match in Perth. Meanwhile, Ben Stokes has brushed off criticism from ex-players he calls has-beens over England's lack of big match preparation.
I think there's a lot of factors that have changed over the years of cricket. So yeah, in terms of preparation, we've been preparing for this for a very long time.
Loads more Ashes build up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel.
Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday morning after the day we had Eubank Jr and Nigel Benn in this very studio. By God, did that stop the traffic? An unbelievable morning, and this morning is going in a similar direction. A lot going on out there, and hopefully from your point of view, we're covering it as ably well as we can. This is Wednesday, November the 12th. Wednesday being Wednesday, Danny Murphy is in our midst, and Danny with us all the way through until 1 o'clock. Mr. Murphy, of course, a decade plus. No surprise that he nails it every time, Simon. A decade plus.
Well, not every time.
One of the top pundits in the game.
I just think it's a brilliant analysis. I enjoy listening to it, and I'm not one of those that spends my time listening to analysis because I would rather watch the game. But when you've got someone that breaks it down and gives you that kind of insight, it makes you think about it differently, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Danny. Take a bow, Mr. Murphy. Last week, Preston striker Milutin Osmaic was given a 9-match ban for racially abusing Burnley's Hannibal Mejbri. Now, Osmaic denied the charge, but it was found to be proven on the balance of probability. The incident in question took place in the game between Preston and Burnley in February of this year. Now, separate to that news, it came through last night that Burnley's Mejbri has been himself charged with misconduct by the FA for allegedly spitting at or in the direction of Leeds United fans. So, Simon, there are a few questions in and around this. Yeah. Are there not? Should it be easier to decipher the truth when it involves actions from one person to another as opposed to words? We're talking actions here. So is this easier to prove?
Well, to some extent it is, but it's a strange world. I was saying to Danny off air, it's a strange world where you can stamp on someone's knee on a football field and maybe avoid a booking. But if you might have said something that no one can prove, you can get banned for 9 games and your reputation damaged for life. That's a strange conundrum and a strange set of standards that the FA have deployed here. If I'm Peter Risdale, I'm sitting there popping up the mentality of, oh, that was a credible witness you had against my player, given the fact he's now in the dock himself for his own behaviour. I know the two things are different, but if you're going to take people's evidence as compelling towards an outcome, then part and parcel of that is their character in of itself to rely on that evidence, because we've seen the evidence that was given was not beyond reasonable doubt. It was the balance of probabilities, and I would suggest that a large proportion of that was the evidence of the offended player.
Yeah, but is it not important, Simon, to keep these two incidents separate here?
Well, I would...
Different behaviour in different games.
Well, yes, I would suggest it is, but I wonder if the panel did. And I wonder if the panel took into consideration the previous form of a player in terms of the player that was charged with the alleged instance of racism, which has now been turned into a confirmed instance of racism in the panel's mind.
Yeah.
Because they've convicted him of it. He is now, effectively, and in the minds of most people now, a racist, because he's been charged with it and found guilty of it. And so from my mind, whilst racism is a blot on our landscape and it should be removed and we shouldn't be taken lightly, it's a very damaging perspective where the balance of probabilities is the reasons why people are found guilty of things.
Right.
And in this instance of character, I would suggest that the Preston player and his behaviour previously might have factored into their overall assessment of what kind of person he was, and the probability that he had the propensity to do these kind of things. And if a witness is to be credible in that situation, then he better be beyond reproach himself, which is one of the issues I had with Azim Rafiq all that time ago, when he started calling everybody a racist and he himself was a racist, and the hypocrisy of that position. Now, I know these two situations are slightly different, and I do not take lightly in any shape or form before people start getting aerated about making excuse for racism, which is not what I'm doing at all. But the situation where you've got a player that's now in the dock for doing something that is offensive. Allegedly. Well, he's in the dock, isn't he? Whether he's done it or not is open to the balance of probabilities, I would assume.
Sure.
So either he is spit the dog or he's not. So the balance of probability, given the fact that he spat at somebody, clearly, otherwise he wouldn't be having any evidence, we've now got to determine his intent. Maybe he was clearing his palate. I don't know what the probability of that was, but the bottom line is that let's hope he gets the same standards deployed to him as is deployed to the other fella.
Well, if proven, Danny, what kind of punishment should that carry? Spitting, and it's allegedly a spitting incident at the moment, we stress, spitting from a player towards fans.
I mean, that interpretation, I don't know.
I mean, it makes me think of El Hadj Diouf from years ago.
Yeah.
When Liverpool played Celtic. And if I remember right, El Hadj Diouf spat towards a family section of Celtic fans. And I think he got a 2-match ban at the time. And I think he was fined heavily as well.
Yeah, I would suggest that's too lenient if you're found guilty of spitting into a group of fans. In the direction of fans from a pitch, I don't know, I haven't seen this example we're talking about in the moment, the Hannibal situation, but...
I mean, he must be in the proximity. If you're saying towards, you mean at, right? And if he was in the centre circle, looking towards a group of fans,
exactly,
hopped up a loogie, then no one's going to turn around and say that was that person spitting at fans. There must be some basis for proximity. Without
I think if you're spitting at fans and found guilty and it's obvious, you've got to be looking at 6.
Again, we've got to know the menu and what is the basis for their decisions, because obviously there is a bank of charges and they have a menu of sentencing. And we need to know what the most lenient sentence is. If you do this, it's 1 ban. And if we've got previous form, and if you're a recidivist and you've done it previously, or we don't like your character, or the balance of probability tells that we think you're morally repugnant, then we'll give you 6. We perhaps need to understand a bit more transparency, which is a good thing, I think. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, to understand how these sentencing guidelines are deployed. And if we can understand that, then we're in a position to turn around and say, well, hang on a second, that feels a bit lenient, or that feels a bit...
I think they'll be well in their power to give 6.
Well, spitting at an opponent on the field of play is considered to be serious misconduct. And the minimum punishment for that, is a 6-match ban.
See, I've always said the same.
That's from player to player.
I've always said the same with spitting, and it's always got me a little bit of trouble. But
have you been on the receiving end of it?
No, but I would rather have someone spit in my face
and punch you in the nose,
and then go over the top of the ball and break my leg or do my ankle ligaments all day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
Sure, but that's like saying, which disease would I like to have least?
No, but no, it's not, because we're talking about the repercussions of what you do, and if someone does a mistimed tackle and does you, and you're out for a few months.
Oh, yeah, I know.
They might get a red side. They get 3 games.
I hear you, right?
And then you get 6 for spitting.
But if there's no intention behind that, if you're saying there's an intention to do you,
that's interpretation.
Right? Now, if someone's gobbing at somebody, there's an intention. There's no debate about it. Spitting at somebody is a deliberate action.
Biting is worse than spitting. But I know players that have got the same ban.
Yeah.
Well, ironically, this player that we're talking about, the person player's done both.
I mean, somehow they will need to come to a decision. But when you look more closely at it, Danny, Mejbri had been amongst the substitutes at the time of the alleged incident while he was warming up. So he's in the proximity, of course he is, of the fans. And then the FA said that Mejbri had allegedly acted in breach of laws of the game, blah, 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 abusive, indecent behaviour by spitting in the direction of, at or in the direction of Leeds United supporters around the 67th minute of the game.
Will there be evidence?
So you can visualise what went on. The question is, can you make it stay? The charge, not the spittle.
I think in today's world, it'd be amazing if there wasn't some camera footage or phone footage or other witnesses there. Because normally, if you're spitting in a group of fans, you're going to have 6, 8, 10 people say, yeah, he did, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It's a very different. When you're talking one-on-one, I'm saying Simon said this to me. If I go to HR tomorrow and Simon's done this, how do I prove that? But if I say something really, or Simon says something really derogatory about me in front of me, you, well, probably not you because you'll stick up for him, but me, you, and the rest of the clan in there, he's got nowhere to go, has he?
Yeah.
So this spitting incident, I would imagine, will be black and white.
When they make a decision on this, Simon, do they look at other similar moments, if I can say that? Nottingham Forest owner, I think, Evangelos Marinakis, was in the tunnel and was given a 5-match stadium ban for spitting on the floor, spitting on the ground in front of the referee.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I don't know how they reached that conclusion. I've always taken the mickey out of it and suggested maybe he should get a spittoon. But this kind of behaviour is, if you're spitting it into the fans, I mean, what is the optics of that for broadcasters? What is the optics for fans? We make a big deal about how important fans are. It should have the same consequences if you're spitting at a player.
Yeah.
The player needs to be disciplined. Yeah. And I'd love to see what his explanation is.
Can you be arrested for that on the street? Is it illegal?
It could be deemed assault, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. Were you playing in that game?
Yeah.
When Hadjuf spat at the Celtic support?
Yeah, I was. The weird thing was, because of so much going on, you can imagine what it's like playing at Celtic. It was incredible. We didn't realise he'd done it, most of us, till after. We saw it all going off, but we didn't know whether there'd been an argument or didn't know that he'd spat. And that wasn't, something the lads took well. I mean, they frowned. You know the history with Jufi and the times he upset.
Once it was proven, Danny, what did you actually think of him?
Well, I didn't judge him only on that. You judge people about the way they are every day and conduct themselves and stuff. But he got reprimanded for it from the boys.
Did he?
Yeah.
Reprimanded what?
Well, just told in no uncertain terms, that's not the way we behave. That's not what you do. And he apologised and that. So, but overall, he wasn't the warmest character in the world. Let's say that. He was quite divisive. He was willing to speak his mind and have it out with people. So yeah, it wasn't the best signing of Ulie's era. Let's put it that way.
Well, it should be stressed that Hannibal Mejbri, although charged with misconduct by the FA for allegedly spitting at or in the direction of these fans, it remains unproven until it's proven. The player has until November the 28th to provide a response to the charge. It's 11:15.
welcome to North London. Eubank Jr versus Benn on talkSPORT.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This is insane! Never seen anything like this!
The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank! This is a moment in time that we will never forget.
And the final scene absolutely delivered. We'll catch you next time.
Here at talkSPORT, our own Alex Crook, one of a number of journalists who tell us that they expect Wolves to finally, formally confirm the appointment of Rob Edwards today. In other words, that Rob Edwards will leave after a short time in charge of Middlesbrough and head to Wolverhampton Wanderers, who, of course, sacked their own man just the other day, but Rob Edwards, a former Wolves player. The move by Edwards has split opinion this week. No doubt about that. The likes of Simon here to my left calling out the integrity from managers such as Edwards. But Danny, on Match of the Day, you're a bit more understanding, it would seem, of such a situation. Says you, I'm more of a realist in football these days. He's got family in the area, in Telford, near Wolves. And he's got an affinity to the club because he spent many years there as a player and coach as well. He's going to get paid more money, which is important to some people, most people. And he's probably, even if they were to go down with the parachute payments, going to have a much stronger squad with Wolves than Middlesbrough have got now. That's your take on it.
Yep, absolutely.
You see nothing wrong in integrity terms.
I completely get that argument. But when in football do we see examples of integrity? They're very rare.
He's got an opportunity to demonstrate integrity here.
So has lots of people in previous years gone by, in management and players. Very rarely do they choose the integrity route. More often than not, people choose the route that benefits them individually, materially. And that's just the way of the world. It doesn't offend me anymore, things like that. I understand the argument, but if he needs the money, he wants to be near his family and all that, that's the stuff he's going to talk about. He won't mention money when he gets the job. He'll talk about the project and, a load of nonsense. The reality is he's not somebody I would imagine who's set for life financially because he wasn't, a glorious career, but this might give him an opportunity to have some breathing space in that respect. Life's simpler because of the kids. Probably he knows the Middlesbrough squad. The problem he's got is a lot of his words when he got the job were about being a family. I want players who want to be here. So in effect, his actions disprove his words, don't they? So he's going to be he's going to come under fire. He's going to get criticism.
Well, he's come under fire from the fella sitting right beside you. Simon, I mean, when you look at it, he was appointed by Middlesbrough in the summer on a 3-year contract. Yeah. This is what gets your goat, isn't it? That someone like Steve Gibson said, right, you're my man. Show us what you can do because we want to get to the promised land.
Just before you say so, there is one thing with that that's worth clarifying. When they gave him the job, which was probably unexpected because he failed in his last, he was probably paid like a failed manager who's given an opportunity. Let's give that some perspective. He probably was, his contract is probably reflective of the position he was in when they give him the job.
Possibly. I mean, it depends who sought who. And did Middlesbrough seek him or did he seek Middlesbrough? Did he apply for the job or did they reach out to him? Because if Middlesbrough reached out to him because they liked the cut of his jib and they felt they could make an explanation for the reasons why Luton got relegated for 2 divisions, in the same way that the Plymouth chairman sat here saying that Wayne Rooney's previous form was no guide for his going forward opportunities. So it doesn't necessarily follow. But let's take Danny's point in isolation and say, if I was an owner, what would I do with a manager that had his head turned? Managers get their head turned. He's a realist. Danny's point of view is realistic, that managers get their head turns. The first question you'd have asked of you, if you've got any integrity as the manager, is if it's about a monetary gain. If it's about opportunities, come on, Chairman, I've come and joined you. I'm on half a bar a year or 800,000 in the Championship, whatever I'm on, and I'm going to get 1.5 or 2 million at Wolves. Can we have a conversation about maybe giving me a newer contract if you like me as much as you seem to, and then give me that opportunity? I had that conversation with Steve, and I offered him more money, and he still went to Birmingham. So that's why I was so infuriated, and still at the time. In this instance, I'm willing to wager Rob Edwards didn't go to Steve Gibson and say to Steve Gibson, I am got my head turned. Can we have a conversation about my contract? And then that maybe will help me get past the some of the opportunities I'm being presented by Wolves. My feeling is that people try to make the comparison. You owners, you have it one way. It's not true. That's a misrepresentation, because I don't have it one way. Because if I bring you into a job and you fail, the only reason you're getting fired is because you failed and you didn't do what you said you're going to do. And I've got to pay you to go out the door and pay your staff to go with you and get rid of a group of players that haven't done very well for me that I bought for you because you failed. But when you leave, you get to up and leave. And not only do you get to take away all the opportunities I've built around you and the framework that I gave you to be successful in, you most likely come back and disrupt me in doing it. So of course I'm going to be infuriated as a former owner. Of course I'm going to say it lacks integrity. You came in, it was good enough for you 6 months ago, 4 months ago. Your family being in Telford wasn't a problem for you 4 months ago. And all of a sudden, because an opportunity comes up that suits you better on the back of the opportunity that I gave you this opportunity. I put you into my dugout. I put you forward as my champion. I rewarded you and recognised you, and I brought players around you and brought in your staff. And the moment you get an opportunity to bat your eyes at someone else because it suits you better, is that what kind of character we think represents leaders in society? Because I don't think it does.
But does that argument lack realism on your part?
Only if you're prepared to accept the worst kind of behaviour in society, and if that's what and that's why I get so.
It's not society, it's football. I mean, football is probably the beacon of this.
But society is making an excuse. We always get the idea that footballers it's a hard life being a footballer sometimes. Oh, we have to make excuses for the fact that we've got player welfare as part of our conversations, and it makes me scratch my head on. Or when managers come out with, "Oh, we had to suffer during the game." You don't know what suffering is. Suffering is something completely different. Use different terminology, and you yourself know that football becomes institutionalised about its expectation of the world. So I look at it and say we should want to I don't like the idea we're making role models. I don't think that's fair, but we should want to hold these guys that tell you that they build teams, that teams are built without I's in the middle of it, because it's about team, not I, and it should be all about having integrity, because that's what leadership should represent. So I hope he gets precisely what he deserves.
Yeah, but Sam, hang on. He wants to do the best he possibly can for himself and his family and his future going forward.
And that comes...
Is anyone out there?
And here's the flip side.
Willing to give that up for.
And here's the flip side.
Yeah.
And here's the flip side of that. You will get somewhere in life because A, you have integrity, and B, you make the right decisions, and C, you earn the right to have those decisions. Wolves have only come knocking on your door because they're stinking the place out and they're desperate. Right? And they need someone to find a particular solution for them. Middlesbrough, well, it's easy to see the vision once the vision's arrived. Middlesbrough gave you an opportunity. That must be worth something in the conversation. It must be at least worth a conversation with the owner of Middlesbrough saying, I've got my head turned. I know you don't want to hear this, Gibson. I know you don't want to hear this, but in order for me to perhaps not have my head turned by a club that I paid 100 games for, and presents me with a Premier League opportunity, maybe we can do something on our contract.
Let me play devil's advocate.
I'm willing to wager you didn't have that conversation. He went, I'm off.
Isn't it easier to be morally correct and do the right thing when you're, firstly, very financially secure in a good place? Because you have been in that position for many, many years of your life.
I don't think, as he was a Premier League manager with Luton, he would have gotten a decent screw out of being promoted. Yeah. I don't think he's knocking the door of a food bank. Right, so let's get things into context.
You've got to give a reality. I mean, you're talking about 1 year in the Premier League. 1 year.
So if I'm Gibson and I'm confronted,
probably 45%.
If I'm confronted by Rob Edwards saying to me, "I can get 2 million for going to Wolves, and you've got me an 800 grand, will you give me 2 million?" And Rob, what as a Championship manager, how much do you think they're on? 800 grand.
Well, as you said, he failed in the latter part of his life.
I would suggest that's probably around about where he is.
Okay, right. but even that,
having been at Watford, having been at Luton, and now at Middlesbrough. And Steve Gibson, I'm sure, would remunerate a manager.
Well, forget the exact numbers. We don't know.
Very healthily.
All I'm saying is there is a possibility that he, by going to Wolves from Middlesbrough, is financially securing his family's future.
There's a message here, Sam. Rob Edwards is getting closer to his kids. That's the reason. Discussion over, surely.
Yeah, it's the same nonsense that Ian Dowie's moving back to the north and went to Charlton. pack it in. It's a load of old nonsense. They do it for themselves. Their motivations are about themselves, and they fancy this opportunity.
Did you never give Dowie permission to speak to Charlton?
Of course I didn't. That's why he got sued in court and got done for fraud. So there's no debate about that. That's a matter of fact.
You hit him with a legal letter at the press conference.
Yeah, he got done for fraud.
I remember.
He went to court and got.
Is there any examples of you in your life being morally correct to get on, and by that choice giving up financial reward?
Well, you can just ask the opportunity of the £1 million I was offered by the Saudis to go and do some stuff for them, which I didn't take because I don't agree with some of the things that they do. Okay. That was, 6 months ago?
Say that again?
I just did say it. So the fact of the matter is...
£1 million? So
the fact of the matter is that there's a raft of opportunities in life and the right ones that have some integrity attached to it. Thomas Frank built it. I've got no problem with a manager being at somewhere, earning their stripes and going to the next opportunity.
Yeah, I get that.
I've got no problem with it. I've got no problem with Marco Silva now leaving Fulham. I had every problem with when he went to Watford and went, oh, actually... My currency is pretty high. I fancy Everton. Is that how it works? Is that how you want your leaders to represent you when you're football fans?
Okay. Well, Rob Edwards, if you're driving to Molineux, I hope you're enjoying the show this morning. And we thoroughly expect an announcement sometime soon. And I don't think Simon is going to change his position because he doesn't change his position on anything. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We're live in talkSPORT. It's 11 o'clock.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 4 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Australia are now 2 bowlers down ahead of the first Ashes test, and there are questions over a third. Back up quick, Sean Abbott joins captain Pat Cummins on the sidelines. Josh Hazlewood's also had a scan on his hamstring, but Cummins thinks Hazlewood should be okay for Perth next week.
He knows his body really well. All the guys that have been playing for a while do. So, I think he was a little bit worried, wanted to get it checked out when he got back. Again, I only saw him briefly, but
I think, he was a bit more happier afterwards than he was going into this game.
Meanwhile, Ben Stokes has batted back questions over Joe Root, who's never scored an Ashes century down under.
He's been in phenomenal form over the last 2-3 years, and I think, as in his words, he's not come out here to score 100 in Australia. He's come out here to contribute to this team winning.
There are loads more Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. Now, former Chelsea midfielder Oscar has been rushed to hospital after having heart problems. His club Sao Paulo say Oscar is stable but remains under observation. Two Portsmouth fans who dressed up as stewards to watch September's South Coast derby at Southampton have been banned from football matches for 3 years. Brothers Kane and Dale Green have pleaded guilty to fraud by false representation. Some breaking news from the world of racing. Last year's Cheltenham champion hurdle winner State Man is out for the season. That's after sustaining tendon injury on the gallops. And Novak Djokovic has told Piers Morgan Uncensored questions remain over Yannick Sinner's doping ban.
I do think that he didn't do it on purpose. But the way the whole case was handled is so many red flags.
Djokovic says it's very odd Sinner's 3-month ban fell between Grand Slams and thinks a less high-profile player would have been banned for longer.
talkSPORT News.
A record 4 million people are now on universal credit with no requirement to look for work, and 7 men have been charged with more than 40 offences as part of an investigation into child sexual exploitation in Bristol. There's more from the news team in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This winter, treat yourself to the Bridgestone Turanza All-Season 6 tyres with a 20,000 tyre mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Rain moving from the south into central areas, wet across northern Scotland as well. Elsewhere, mostly dry, windy in the north and southwest, mild in the south.
Welcome to North London. Eubank Jr versus Benn on talkSPORT.
Let's get ready to rumble! The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank!
Good morning, everybody. 7 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT, live on your telly as well. So many of you come up to me and say, watch the show every morning, and it's great. I'm thrilled about that. You can catch it on Samsung, Apple TV, Chromecast, Android, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch it, we are there for you. Lots to come your way between now and 1 o'clock. We expect Rob Edwards to be confirmed at Wolverhampton Wanderers. We're going to head out to Croatia and hear from one Slaven Bilic. He'll be joining us as well. And over in New York City, Nigel Reo-Coker overnight spoke to me about the new man who could well be heading to Celtic. The manager at Columbus Crew will get Nigel's take on him. And you don't want to miss that because he's given us quite an insight into what this fella has done so far and what he might do given the opportunity at Celtic. Who knows though? Maybe Martin O'Neill will carry on in interim charge at the club. Of course, it's a big week in the world of boxing. So it's time for this.
Big Fight Preview, Eubank Jr versus Benn 2 on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch the unmissable rematch live this Saturday, only on DAZN.
Well, that's right. This Saturday, Chris Eubank Jr and Conor Benn meet again in what is a highly anticipated rematch. And let's take a look ahead to the big fight now in the company of DAZN, more specifically in the company of top boxing trainer Joe Gallagher. Joe, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Jim.
You just slunk in there as I was doing the introduction to the next hour. This man talks boxing any opportunity he can. Yeah. And, of course, this is your game we're talking about. Before we get to that, I want to bring you to a stop and just let me ask you this. We were all a bit taken aback when we heard that you had a fight of your own with cancer.
Yeah.
Is there good news on that front, Joe? Where are you at with it?
Yeah, waiting for the operation after Lawrence Okolie's fight in July, and then in September, the consultant said everything was good to go. I just needed to have bloods and scans every 6 months. So from being diagnosed literally a year, last week, with stage 4 bowel and liver in aggressive format. Just bloods and scans now every 6 months. So I'm still in the recovery process. both mentally, emotionally and physically, and getting my energy levels back up. But yeah, it's great news. Thank you.
Brilliant to hear it. Is that not great news, Simon?
I'm thrilled. I'm really delighted.
Mentally, emotionally, it must have been a strain.
Yeah, it is. It's like anything. When you're in the moment, you don't realise. You become tunnel vision. I threw myself more into work, and that's how I dealt with it. Once you come out of it, and then the magnitude of people telling you what a serious operation you were involved in and what you had, you're like, was it really? And that's not being thingy, but it was me just being tunnel vision and not entertaining, not having any negative thoughts, negative conversations, not giving cancer any room upstairs, and having a positive mindset all the time. And I just think having that positive mindset is what got me to where I'm sat here today.
It's great to see you, Joe. Did boxing help you through it?
Yeah, it did. It helped me throw something. Instead of being sat at home and being pity and, like I say, going to the hospital and then going for chemo, going through the stages of that as well. Also going to the gymnasium after it also kept me being positive instead of sitting at home going, why me, pity me, this and this. And I know it's not the right thing to talk about, and I said it when I was on a broadcasting the other day. I just feel still, if people, please take a stool sample. It was a stool sample that got me. If you get given it in the post, I know it's nervous sending it off and waiting for the results and the apprehension of what comes back with it, but please take it. You just never know. I never had no symptoms. I had the medical, but it was the stool sample that diagnosed me. But I'm glad to say I'm here, and I'm looking forward to fight week Saturday night.
Joe is singing from your hymn sheet, Simon, isn't he?
Sure.
After the experience you had, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the positive mindset is that's fundamental. Being able to, I mean, I advocated for taking PSA tests. I was fortunate, I had lots of support, like he probably did in his life. I had Michelle sitting in a room saying to the doctors, is he going to die? The doctor says no, so she says, well, pack it in and get on with the surgery then. That's therapy 101 from Michelle Dewberry, right?
Yeah.
But the fact is, I'm thrilled for him. I really am, because I was worried at one point. And the fact that he's now back and has got opportunities to move forward and in really good condition is good for him, but it's good for boxing world, because I think he's a brilliant trainer.
Great. Joe, it's great having you. Eubank Jr, Benn, the rematch. But do you have a fighter in the undercard?
Yeah, Mikey Talon, the Omen. Obviously, he's took the name off Spencer. We asked Spencer for permission. And like I say, Mikey, and that's what part of the recovery was. When I came out of the hospital, I had 6-7 weeks to get myself fit to be able to get on a plane for Mikey to fight in Vegas. Mikey fought in Vegas on the Canelo Crawford fight week. His Excellency pulled him out of the fresh air, said, I want to see him fight. He went over there. He wasn't involved in what His Excellency calls a Tom and Jerry fight. It was an exciting fight. And as soon as he got the ring, he says, right, we want to put you on the Ben Eubank show. So here he is fighting in a stadium on Saturday night.
Brilliant, Joe. Eubank Jr, Benn. Unlike this fella to my immediate left, do you rate this as a fight, as an event?
As a fight, as an event? I think it's very hard. The first fight gave us everything we needed to know. The build-up, the controversy, the head-to-head, that moment, which will, I'm sure, will be one of the highlights of the year, of the dad stepping out of the van with young Eubank Jr., the crowd erupting. I think we seen and knew everything that we needed to know with the fight there and then. This one, there's a rematch. Can Conor Benn do anything different? Can Chris Eubank Jr. go to the well again? Will he make weight this time? I'm big against this the hydration clause. I think the board should step in and say, listen, we can't have that on what went on first time round. Like you see in Crawford didn't ask Canelo to say, oh, you can't put weight on after your fight. And when you look at the greats at your Leonards and your Joannes, when they all moved weight to fight your Haglers and all that, didn't say a Hagler you couldn't. And I just think, if you want to beat the man at his best, well, let him be at his best. And I think having that hydration clause on Eubank Jr. isn't fair. And at the age he is as well, at 36, Eubank Jr., if you look at his career, in the last 5 years, he's only had 7 fights. And I know people say, yeah, but he made it then and he made it then. But from age 31 to what he's 36 now, well, Ronaldo and Roy Keane aren't the same fight. Well, Ronaldo's a bit different, but Roy Keane and the players, I can't run midfield at 31, at 36, the same way that they did at 31. So Eubank Jr. making that weight at that time isn't good. And I think the board should step in here and go, listen, there's no hydration clause. He is what he is on the night. And if you want to beat him, you've got to beat him at his best.
That's such an interesting point,
Is that after
Joe.
the weigh-in, yeah?
That's a relevant point.
Yes, after
What's
the weigh-in.
the distance from weigh-in to fight?
Well, depending on the weigh-in, they have the weigh-in at 11 o'clock in the morning, and then they get in the ring around 9 o'clock at night. So there's a hydration process. But the damage is done. The best way to describe making weight, and this is if you're doing it right, is having a saucepan. Now, sometimes if you put a saucepan on and then the water's going, it's just singed. It's like, oh, you can pull it off. And that's very much how fighters make weight. They make weight and they literally have made the weight half an hour before they get on the scales. They jump on and fluid back into them. It's like that saucepan you can use again. But if they're not made weight right and they're being down there too long and you leave the pan too long, that pan is scorched and burnt. No matter how you scrub it with a Brillo pad, that is no good. And it's the same with the fighter. No matter what you put in, if he's been at weight too long, no matter how much he's done, he's not got to be hydrated proper. And that's the dangerous thing when they're asking fighters of a certain age still to make that weight. And I know people say, yeah, but that's what he agreed inside to. Yeah, but we all can sit with a crystal ball and hope, but the evidence is in front of us. He ended up in hospital afterwards and he struggled to make weight. We're on about 36.
Sure.
Conor Benn's 29. Is it 29 years of age?
Yeah.
So do you understand? So it's like saying to Roy Keane, right, Roy, go and take your boots off now and I'm going to put your Champions League. Well, Casemiro's an example at the moment. As much as he's doing, he doesn't have the 90 minutes. He has 65, 70. Do you understand? So that's
loving these football comparisons, Joe. I like it. But Joe's onto something here because the making weight discussion, it's a big discussion ahead of this because of what happened the last time. And Messrs Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr. were in here yesterday and spoke to Simon himself about that.
Are you saying that my son has
a choice?
Actually, there isn't any choice. He shouldn't be fighting at the weight because it's against the rules.
What rules?
The rules of weight. The weights are wrong. If one is at 147 and one is at 160...
You went up weight classes.
Again, this is not the point. You know what? I should have been protected. I went up...
From yourself?
Yes,
right.
We're fighters.
Right. So are you saying it should be outlawed by the outlawed by the industry? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
No, that's the rules of the.
No weight class moves.
That's right.
His son's over 21. He's a big man. He don't need his dad.
Yeah.
He can decide for himself.
I agree.
And he's chose to do that. So everything falls at his door.
Yeah.
Don't fall at anybody else's door. He has the opportunity to say, you know what? I don't want this fight. It's all down to Chris Jr. Not his dad. Because the dad always, saying everyone wants to hurt his son. No, speak with your son. Because everything about them too, I'm sorry, it's just full of negativity. You had the opportunity to choose it from the beginning.
Joe Gallagher, you cannot help but have the utmost respect for these two. What's your take on that from both of them?
I understand it. Obviously, I understand where Eubank Jr. Senior is talking about. You've got to understand Chris Eubank Senior as well. That night, with his son fighting, making weight, seeing him dig in them last few rounds, being in an ambulance, whether they could get out or they couldn't get out, I'm not going to get into that. But it was a throwback to him and a memory to him of what that night was with him and Michael Watson in the same venue, although a different building. It was at the Spurs stadium when he dropped Michael Watson. So he sat there as a worried parent thinking, wow, this is happening to me again here. My son, I can't get out of ambulance. And now this time he's going, no, we don't want that hydration clause for Nigel Benn and his son. It's like, well, we'll fight and you've agreed to it and that's it. Yes, I know in principle agreed to it. And it's all right them saying, yeah, but you didn't have to take it. No, but emotionally we got sued left, right and centre. It would have cost him again even more money for pulling out or something.
But I don't understand this argument, Joe, and I understand the point you're making. It's £1 million clause. If he rehydrates above the level, he loses £1 million. So that's his choice. It's nobody else's choice. It's his choice. So if he wants to put his health, he's the one that knows how deeply he went to the well. He's the one that ended up in hospital. He has the same conditionality around his contract. Why doesn't he just accept the £1 million consequence, given the fact that they're getting a huge amount of money, an inflated amount of money for the level that they're at, for a fight because it's being sold on notoriety?
But isn't the argument that the boxers themselves shouldn't be able to make that choice because they're in it, if they're fighters? They're going to get the money anyway. Shouldn't somebody else
who is responsible for your health?
The British Boxing Board of Control, as well as the fighter. They have a duty of care, like the PFA, to look after the player or the boxer and to step in and go, listen, this is where Eubank Jr. led afterwards.
Why don't they then?
I don't know. I'm asking, I've said it numerous times that the board should step in and go, regardless of what's in the contract. And the T's and C's for this fight were done before the first fight. Mm-hmm. So it's very hard to hold something to that. The board needs to step in and go, hang on a minute, listen, we're looking after the welfare of our fighter here, and this isn't agreed, regardless of what's on the contract. And you've been forewarned, touch wood, God bless, nothing untoward goes on at the weekend. But it's all in there, and don't be afterwards saying, wow, we said.
Exactly.
So, I think we're sailing very close to the wind again.
Yeah.
And please God, both fighters come out in good health.
More from Joe in a moment. Just a reminder, you can hear the fight live on talkSPORT, and it's live on DAZN. We're back after this.
Big fight preview. Eubank Jr versus Benn 2 on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch the unmissable rematch live this Saturday, only on DAZN.
to North London, Eubank Jr versus Benn on talkSPORT. Let's get ready to rumble! This is insane! Never seen anything like this! The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank!
This is a moment in time that we will never forget.
And the final scene, absolutely delivered. We'll catch you next time.
Good morning, everybody. 20 past 11 this Wednesday morning. Wednesday means Danny is in our midst, and we're delighted about that. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. We're talking Chris Eubank Jr versus Conor Benn, which is live this Saturday on talkSPORT and DAZN. And top trainer Joe Gallagher has stopped by and is with us till about 1:45 the hour. You didn't know that, Joe. You thought you were going to be here till about 11:30, but we extended it because he's going so well. Joe, break it down for me. Who wins this thing on Saturday? Eubank Jr or Benn?
It's a fascinating fight. I think afterwards, Eubank Jr did say he was surprised with Conor Benn's punching power, his strength. maybe that's Eubank. Most of us didn't expect him to be as good as he did and took things lightly in training. We don't know. But if you see for this fight now, he's brought Bomac in when he lost to Liam Smith. He then went and got Bomac for the rematch there. He's brought Bomac. So Eubank Jr.'s giving... That's the biggest compliment for Conor Benn, is that, hang on a minute, he's gone and got his team together and he's brought in one of the best trainers in the world for this fight. Conor Benn, a lot more relaxed this time. First time round, tension, not knowing what to perceive, the power, being in there, tested it, fancies himself. They've gone away and looked at what they did well and what they didn't do well. Now it's a case of, can Conor Benn do what Eubank Jr. did last time, which is go to the well and dig deep, because that's what he's going to have to do. Saying that here now, though, both of them have huge respect for each other. Will they be as gun-ho as they were the first time? Very much like the dad's fight. The dad's fight second time round wasn't the blaze of glory as the first fight. There's a bit more brains behind it. Maybe there's a bit more brains in this fight as well. But I think it's got to be a good fight. But I just think experience-wise and that DNA that's in him, in both boxers and in the families, but Eubank Jr. will be able to dig in a little bit and get another close decision.
Joe, I want your take on this. We asked the question to Nigel Benn yesterday, Simon and myself, and have a listen. This was Nigel.
First of all, you got to understand what he went through that led up to all this. You know, being called a drug cheat, being called this, being called that, and then suffering with depression and everything. So he's not in the right frame of mind. Been out of the ring for 14, 15 months, never made no money. So he had so much pressure on him. And now he's a completely different man. And now he can go and look back, watch the fight, where he went wrong. But most importantly, what I love about him, he's just relaxed in himself and in that the love that he's actually showing Chris. Even though with the smash his face in, it's just like he's completely different. And I love the position that he's in, watching him train, watching him spar.
Joe, tell us, do either Eubank Jr. or Benn win a world title?
Well, Eubank Jr. has won a world title, albeit an IBO. I know Simon's got to say different, but he has won a world title.
You're not having that.
For Conor Benn, listen, how he's been marketed and how he's produced to get onto this stage, on this platform and earn so much money when he hasn't even won a title of sorts, whether it be Southern area, English, British, Commonwealth, European. They've done a great job marketing him, and he's gone in there and they've got him in a great position with the rivalry of the story of the dads to make the money. As you see, he's turned up this week with a Rolls Royce, and they've done a very good job. And like his dad said there, he's in a different mindset this time for the fight. He's relaxed. He's got to go in there and do the best that he can. I do feel a little bit more thought and a little bit more brains this time with young Conor could be the keys for him to pull this off.
But your gut feeling today, who wins it?
Eubank Jr.
Okay, more from Joe after this. We're coming up to 11:30.
Reece James is calling on FIFA to move World Cup kickoff times to help players deal with the heat of North America. Meanwhile, Bukayo Saka's told talkSPORT he's backing Thomas Tuchel to reintegrate Foden and
the talent they've got, you know, it's going to bring a lot of quality to the team. So it's very exciting. We're in a good place as a team and looking forward to what's coming this camp.
England versus Serbia is live on talkSPORT tomorrow evening. England are already qualified, as are the World Cup holders. But Lionel Messi's not sure he'll be fit enough to contribute next summer, and he says he doesn't want to be a burden to Argentina. Now, we understand Wolves will finally announce Rob Edwards as their new manager today, possibly early this afternoon. Elsewhere, Australia have lost another bowler ahead of the first Ashes test. Back up quick, Sean Abbott joins captain Pat Cummins in the treatment room. Josh Hazlewood's also had a scan on his hamstring today, but is expected to train as normal ahead of next week's match in Perth. Meanwhile, Ben Stokes has brushed off criticism from ex-players he calls has-beens over England's lack of big match preparation.
I think there's a lot of factors that have changed over the years of cricket. So yeah, in terms of preparation, we've been preparing for this for a very long time.
Loads more Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel.
It is Wednesday morning. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We're live in talkSPORT. Top boxing trainer Joe Gallagher is with us. Joe having a good old tiff with Simon during the commercial break. This is what happens in here, Joe. We're never really off air, which is fine by us. Listen, Joe, here's the thing. Alexander Usyk going to fight on for another 2 years, but your man, Lawrence Okolie, where does he fit into the equation in all of this?
Well, at the moment, he's the WBC #1. He's we're asking for the Kabiel fight. Kabiel's fighting in Germany in January. Lawrence has got a fight in Nigeria at the end of the year, and we're hoping to make that fight. Kabiel's the interim champion, and we just want to see what happens with Alexander Usyk, whether he gives up the belts or whether the governing bodies put the pressure on now that they all played the role in letting the fights develop and having this undisputed and letting people wait, and now it's up to them to press Alexander to say, listen, you've got to defend against him, or, which I feel no one's really done yet, go to Usyk and go, listen, here's X amount for giving up the belts, 8% of this fight, hypothetically, and the winner of that, then another 4%. So Usyk can mostly get 48%, giving the 4 belts up, and everyone still recognises him #1, but the belts are back in play. And then you got the fight so Wardley and Moses Atuma and Lawrence Okolie can go and fight for the belts and start a semis, a quarters, a final or whatever, but making the belts active again. At the moment, they're dormant and everyone's hanging out. Kabiel's hanging around, obviously being an interim. Lawrence Okolie's WBC #1. But listen, we're training well. I'm going over to Dubai after this weekend to finish training over there. I'm ready to go. I'm really happy with Lawrence and where he's at. And regardless of what Simon says here beside me off air, I think Alexander Usyk, I feel Lawrence Okolie could give him a really good night's work. And I know people, I'm not still on the medication and it's still not the effect of the medication of the operation, but being up close with him and having him in camp now, and I think the 10 rounds with Kevin Lorena is just what I needed. He listened to a word with one arm, he listened to everything that I said, and I thought, now we can go to war. Now he listens in between corners, and that was the last box to be ticked.
You see, do you think, Joe, that people like Simon and others dismiss the name of Lawrence Okolie too?
Yeah, 100%. I listen to this show all the time, and I had to go Gareth Davis and Spencer Oliver, and everyone can reel off Moses Atuma, Fabio Wardley, Dylan White, Derek Chisora, but no one wants to reel off the tongue Lawrence Okoli. But no one's phoning up wanting to fight Lawrence Okoli. When Lawrence Okoli's name's put in the mix for fighting people, no one wants to do it. So we're the ones that are calling out Cabiel. We're the ones that do want to fight Cabiel. And like I said to Lawrence, when you want to become WBC world champion, you've got to fight the man that people say don't want to fight, which is Cabiel. If Usyk gives up the belt.
Well said, Joe.
So when he does become when he does become world champion, you can't say you were given a soft touch, an old man, someone past the prime. You beat the man that no one wanted to fight to be the WBC world champion, and that's the mindset with us. And please God, 2026, he'll get that opportunity, and hopefully a year from now, I'll be sat here and I'll say to Simon, well, that's why you do what you do and I do what I do.
Joe, we love that. Now, come on, are you going to fight back? Are you going to go with it?
Incidentally, the first thing I said to him was how good he was against Kevin Lerena. So there's nothing to do with that at all.
You're quite dismissive of Lawrence.
Not at all. I think Lawrence is brilliant. I think he's a brilliant.
Well, Danny and I saw you lock horns with Joe during the commercial.
Yeah, because
break.
I think it's ridiculous to assert that Lawrence Okoli is going to give Alexander Usyk his hardest night's work. That's where I disagree.
Why?
Because I don't think he's good enough to do that. I think he's good enough to be. I think he's going to be a better heavyweight potentially than he was a cruiserweight, because he doesn't have the weight issues that potentially held him back at cruiserweight. But Lawrence has earned the reputation that he's got. It wasn't given to him by chance. He got a reputation for fights that people didn't like to see, that people didn't enjoy, and some of that might well be because of the weight situation at cruiserweight and having a trainer now that inspires him. You told me at the time, if he doesn't listen to me and do what I want him to do, then I'm not going to waste my time with him.
100%.
The fact that he is, and the fact that I think it's ridiculous that he came in from Bridgerweight and got number 5 in the WBC, but I think the WBC is a ridiculous sanctioning body anyway. This is a sanctioning body that lets champions be in recess for a year. Badou Jack's a cruiserweight champion of the world. Doesn't have to fight to keep his belt.
Joe, why would Lawrence Okoli give Alexander Usyk one of his toughest nights yet?
So that's the point. I didn't say give him the hardest night. I said he would do. One, only because of his pedigree, his shots, his movement, and his people say his awkwardness, but because of his temperament, there's just a stylistic. Styles make fights, and I think Lawrence Okoli, with his reach, his punching power, I'm not going to turn around and say, oh, Lawrence Okoli is better than Tyson Fury, better than these people that have been and before. I'm just saying sometimes somebody always has someone's measure, and we see that down the line for whatever equation. Vernon Forrest was a great fighter over the years that always had someone's measure, and I just think Lawrence Okoli against Alexander Usyk, I just think it's stylistically wise. It's not an easy fight for Usyk. It's not a straightforward where he can go in there and blow someone out. There's got to have to be a lot of thought from his side how he's got to beat Lawrence Okoli in that fight. Styles make fights, and it's just me sitting there through it, and to be quite dismissive of it, I think, is quite insulting, and people who maybe online will be dismissive. I really don't know boxing, but it's like for anything, I believe in my fight, and it's not through blind belief and anything else. And I know Simon said, it's like Kevin Lerena after his fight. He said, oh, he didn't stop Lerena. No, but he had his bicep snapped in the first round, but went out and did a better job than Daniel Dubois did. We didn't get dropped, and we had one arm, and he dropped Daniel Dubois 3 times, and he beat Justin Hooney, gave him a good fight. Of course, Lawrence wanted to knock a kid out in a round or 2 rounds at Wembley last time out. Of course he did. But he didn't with one arm, but he won every round.
So you'd argue that Lawrence Okoli is tough, resilient, and can dig deep.
And he listens, and I feel the British scene, anyway, is absolutely booming. But we've got good fighters in America. We've got Torres, the Olympian. We've got Jobalov, the kid from Ukraine, I think. Do you know what I mean? There's some really good fights. And I feel once Usyk and this generation of Tyson and Joshua step back, we've got to have some great heavyweight fights.
I mean, on that very topic, January 24th, Moses Atoma will fight Jermaine Franklin. Is that a development fight? What is it?
Yeah, no, it's a good fight. Jermaine Franklin, listen, Anthony Joshua didn't stop him. You know, if Moses does, then it's, oh, well, we did him. Take away that Franklin's a lot more older and experienced now than Anthony did. And Anthony was young at the time as well. But it's a good fight and a right developed fight. Hopefully it's a fight that comes and gives what Moses wants more at this stage of his career, is rounds and competitive rounds. Will Franklin do that? Hopefully he does do. He's been on social media saying you've picked the wrong kid for this fight. Hope it isn't hype and he comes over and he does back it up.
Anthony Joshua, are we led to believe that he's moving towards working with Alexander Usyk's camp?
I don't know. Last I heard, Anthony Joshua was moving to Dubai. I don't know about boxing wise, but I don't know if that comes off. It'll be a strange mix. But Anthony Joshua is someone that's always moved trainers, moved, and never really settled since he left Robert McCracken. I don't know whether he's too big to go back and say, listen, Robert, or Robert would turn around and have him back. But I think maybe to have gone back and started. But Anthony Joshua, what does Anthony Joshua need to fight for? To be honest, he's done everything that he's got to do. He's achieved everything. He's financially secure. He can be a huge ambassador, and he's been an inspiration and good for British boxing. Does he need to fight again? I think the only fight people are interested in is Tyson Fury. Is it on the scale of what it was in the peak? No. Would it still sell? Yes. That's it.
Yeah, you're not in the camp of Johnny Nelson that maybe it's time for AJ to retire.
No, I am. I think, like I said, this much will be, if he's going to do it, he needs to do it and do it very soon. If not, I do feel that there's talk when they did say of Anthony Joshua just having a 6 or an 8 rounder so he don't have the pressure, that there's a chance that he still might pop up on Lawrence Okoli's show in Nigeria in a 6-8 rounder just for a run out before he fights in March time. But Anthony Joshua, what does he need of it? It's only the Tyson Fury fight, and it depends on him himself. What does Anthony Joshua really want to do? When the longer you stay out of the gym and out of the ring, the longer you start getting used to that retired life, and we'll have to see if that's what Anthony Joshua does.
You certainly made a great case for your man Lawrence Okoli, Joe.
I wish him well. I think, listen, when you're with me, I'll back you, you back me, and that's it. And it just adds fuel to the fight. I'm a huge fan of Ferguson and Mourinho and Klopp and them type of things. It's like, you say we can't, just watch us go and do it.
Gotta love that. Joe, best of all is the news that you've got a clean bill of health and that you're moving forward in a much healthier way than you were at one stage quite recently, and we're delighted about that. Thanks so much for being with us.
No, cheers, thank you. And for all the listeners, yes, what I've said today could be still a little bit of medication, but I'm on the road to recovery, and thanks for having me on, boys. Thank you.
Great. Joe Gallagher with us live on talkSPORT. Remember, Saturday night, Eubank Jr, Benn, live on talkSPORT for sure, but live on DAZN. We're coming up to 11:45.
to North London. Eubank Jr versus Benn on talkSPORT. Let's get ready to rumble! This is insane! Never seen anything like this!
The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank. This is a moment in time that we will never forget.
And the final scene absolutely delivered. We'll catch you next time.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
Sean Martin from BetMGM joins us. We're going to look at some of the top sporting events and the odds round and about them. Sean Martin, fresh back from paternity leave, Danny and Simon. So this fella has sleep deprivation written all over him. Sean, how are you? You look fresher than fresh. Congratulations. Another little Martin.
Another little Martin, yeah, thanks, lads. Morning. To be fair, the names Jim and Simon were also floated, but quickly kiboshed by the better half, which is probably for the best.
So what did you decide upon?
We settled on Luca.
Well done.
Yep, nice.
Lovely. Luca Martin, lovely. Yeah, give little Luca our best. Sean, good to see you again, mate, because some of the other individuals that have been coming on, oh my God. Anyway, that's by the by. Give me an update on your beloved Celtic, because later on this morning, we're going to hear from Nigel Reo-Coker over in New York City, who tells us all about Wilfried Nancy. What's the latest you're hearing?
Celtic, yeah, absolute mayhem lately. Impeccable timing for myself, mind you, to be off when the Celtic manager resigns and then the principal shareholder releases a statement like the one he did, dearie me. But yeah, this week, Wilfried Nancy, as you say, Columbus Crew head coach, he's now into 1-7 favourite. But as we saw with the Rangers situation, these things can and do change very quickly. Kieran McKenna, for instance, was odds on at 13-20. When Matt Gibson was on with you guys at the end of October. He's now 14-1. Bodo Glimt boss Kjetil Knutsen is the 11-2 joint second favourite. He did a number on Celtic in the Conference League under Ange Postecoglou a few years back. Very successful at Bodo and out of contract soon as well, but it seems to be slightly up in the air as to whether he's poised to sign a new deal there or not. Our very own Martin O'Neill, 11-2 as well. Kieran McKenna, as I say, now all the way out to 14-1. You've got the likes of Ange Postecoglou at 20s. Sean Maloney currently in there with Martin O'Neill, also 20s. Damien Duff, former Celtic coach, 30-1. Those types of names. But ultimately, time is on their side in a way, isn't it? Because if there is no absolute standout candidate, then you leave it in the safe pair of hands who's carrying it at the moment. It's probably the shout. And in terms of the league, Hearts are still 7 points ahead, having played a game more. Very little odds movement from the end of last month, though. Celtic in slightly from 1-2 to 4-9. Hearts exactly the same price as they were at 9-4, and Rangers still out at third favourites at 7-1, Jim.
Wow, Rangers third favourites. Who would Celtic superfan Sean Martin like?
It's honestly such a difficult question to answer, Jim, because there is no standout candidate for me now. I know Wilfried Nancy, as we say, now into 1-7. We saw with the Rangers job live on air, actually. Remember the Steven Gerrard odds coming right in, and then all of a sudden that didn't happen. So even the odds don't necessarily tell the full story. What I will say is I was listening yesterday, I think it was yesterday anyway, and Simon mentioned that it could be a pretty underwhelming appointment. I think plenty of fans would agree, with all due respect to him, that Wilfried Nancy probably would be a slightly underwhelming appointment, especially given the current landscape surrounding the club, whether that be the acrimony between the fan base and the board, the way the second Brendan Rodgers era ended, and indeed the fact, as I say, they're still sitting second in the league.
Yeah.
The market has them odds on, but these things do change quite quickly.
I mean, I remember, Sean, as you will, it was Anshu when he arrived at Celtic, and we all remember what he did there. In our midst is golfer Danny Murphy. Do you want to tell us about the DP World Tour Championship?
Yep, DP World Tour Championship in Dubai, the season ender, and the prevailing storyline is definitely that Rory McIlroy is chasing his 7th race to Dubai win. He'd overtake the great Seve Ballesteros, so if he does it, and sit just one behind Colin Montgomerie. Only 2 players can overtake McIlroy to win it, Marco Penge and Tyrrell Hatton. If McIlroy finishes at least second alone, doesn't matter a jot what those two do. But if he finishes worse than second alone and then Penge wins in Dubai, he takes the overall title. There's a few other ways Penge can win it, but for Hatton, he has to win this event and hope that both McIlroy finishes worse than a share of 8th with one other, and that Penge also finishes worse than tied second with one other. Makes for an interesting few days, and as expected, Rory is the 4-1 favourite. Tommy Fleetwood second in the market at 5s. Hatton at 11s alongside Bob McIntyre. Penge is at 20-1. And you've also got the likes of Ludwig Åberg, Matt Fitzpatrick at 14s, Shane Lowry at 18s. And Aaron Rai, Danny, off the back of winning last week, is at 12-1. One of the few times Matt Gibson was very quick to tell me, I think it was Charlie actually, that I believe you didn't mention Aaron Rai ahead of a tournament, and he only went and won it.
Yeah, I lost belief in him, didn't I, a little bit? But he's a great player. I was really pleased for him. Such a humble guy. He obviously stands out with the 2 gloves all the time, and I'll forgive him. I think he's a United fan. But what an amazing last few holes, wasn't it, for him to actually get those couple of birdies and get to the playoff with Fleetwood?
Yeah.
But Rory's obviously the favorite. I mean, I don't know if you saw the weekend, the last round, he shot 10 under, course record. Oh, my God.
Brilliant.
He's just
we were speaking about that this morning, and the good Lord Charlie Robertson told me earlier he reckons because of that and because of a few other things, he just thinks it's going to be Rory, and I quote, by miles. But I don't know where's your head at, Danny. Is it that simple? Or
no, I don't think it's that simple, because Marco Penge is close and he's playing unbelievable golf as well. He wasn't that far off. He shot a great last round, so it'll be good watching. It'll be tight, but Rory's experience. He never gets flustered, even if he has a bad second day or third day. And to be able to come out on the last day and shoot 10 under is just
sure
beyond human, really.
So, Sean, tell us about the Grand Slam of Darts. Knockout rounds begin tonight.
Yep, Michael van Gerwen and Josh Rock, the headline names to make it through last night, though we lost Gary Anderson and European champion Guian van Veen. And obviously Bo Greaves exited too, though ran 2 former world champions as close as you can and close as you can get in the process. Can't wait to watch her on the Pro Tour next season. Knockouts, as you say, from tonight. It's first to 10 legs, so slightly longer format, which you'd think probably suits the tournament favourites, Luke Littler, who's at 7-4, and Luke Humphries at 7-2. 4 matches overall tonight. Chris Dobey goes off favourite against Michael Smith. Good to see him back on the big stage. You've also got Gerwyn Price facing a potentially tough one against European Tour standout Martin Schindler. Humphries is a massive 20-1 on to beat Jurjen van der Velde, and another Luke Woodhouse, not Littler, is 8-13 to beat Ricky Evans. Looking about the various darts markets we offer for a bit of value, and I think I've settled on a relatively modest 3-1 fourfold for myself. That's Dobey to have the most 180s against Smith, Price versus Schindler to have over 15.5 legs, so basically 10-6 or closer for either player. Van der Velde to hit 3 or more 180s against Luke Humphries, and then 8 or more 180s in Woodhouse versus Evans. So as I say, lads, a relatively modest 3-1, but that gives you interest in all 4 matches in Wolverhampton tonight.
And that's why we've been missing you, Sean Martin, for that kind of detail. Sean, thank you very much indeed. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app, 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
You might remember Nigel Reo-Coker, played for West Ham and Aston Villa, the midfielder, amongst others. I was talking with Danny before we came on air. He well remembers Nigel Reo-Coker. These days, plying his trade in the media over in the US of A, based in New York City at CBS. And Nigel got in touch last night with me primarily about Eubank Sr. and his performance on our show yesterday. But then we got onto the subject of Columbus Crew boss Wilfried Nancy, who's emerged as a strong candidate, as you've been hearing, to be the next Celtic manager. And Nigel said, yeah, it would not surprise me. And this was why. He summed up what this fellow Wilfried Nancy is all about.
In my opinion, Wilfried Nancy is the best manager in MLS. Won the MLS Cup in 2023. and then in 2024 won the Leagues Cup. Very highly regarded and very highly rated manager. It wasn't so long ago, actually, he was linked with clubs in Liga in France, because obviously he's been making that many waves for what he's achieving and doing managerial-wise. Why I say he's the best in the league is because of how he's managed to stay competitive domestically in MLS, while also competing to the equivalent of the Champions League here, the CONCACAF. And to be competitive in both competitions is very hard to do because of this footballing calendar and how it works on this side. But for me, I'm not surprised with his links to big European clubs, because he is that good of a manager. And what else he does also is he develops young players, very good when it comes to that aspect, which is something that I don't feel a lot of modern day managers do that much anymore. But he's very good at that. I think he's a definite hidden gem that people are not aware of. But I'm not surprised with the links, because he deserves it for how competitive he's been over here and what he's done. Plays a great brand of football. And for me, I'll probably say his team, Columbus Crew, play the best European style of brand of football in these shores. On that note, absolute pleasure, gentlemen. Sending my love all the way from New York. Enjoy.
And we did. Nigel, thank you very much indeed. Danny, I suppose the big question is, I mean, even though in the last 2 years, Nancy has won the MLS Cup and League Cup as well, and was MLS Coach of the Year, you come over here and it's one of the big two in Scotland. Will it necessarily translate?
I mean, it's a risk, isn't it? Any appointment's a risk, but
he summed it up well for us, Nigel.
He did, but it's a big ask to go from managing over there to the size of the club of Celtic, with no affiliation to the club, understanding of it. I suppose you could argue on the flip side, without all that historical knowledge, if you like, and bond with the club, you're just fully focused on the job in hand, and you go clean slate. And I don't know. I
mean, have you been in a dressing room, Danny, and the reaction is, well, who the heck's this?
Yeah, probably only once, when Roy Hodgson came into Fulham, because he'd been away for so long. A lot of the lads weren't familiar with him at all, and didn't really few of them like, who's this old fella, you know? But Roy came through the door, spoke to the lads for 20 minutes, and the lads were like, whoa,
yeah,
he knows his stuff, he knows what he's doing. I don't think the reputation of a manager or his CV only takes you so far with a group of guys. You know, it can give you respect, obviously, for a certain amount of time. But if the coaching isn't great, the results aren't great, you're not on board, that soon dissipates.
Yeah.
I think I'd be surprised if Celtic take that much of a gamble on somebody over there.
Would you, Simon?
Well, he's only managed in North American football. And I went over there and spent a bit of time watching it, and it is a poor standard.
Is it?
I don't care what Nigel Reo-Coker says about how well he's coached in that league. It's a poor standard. The only thing that kept Inter Miami standing up with the three best players on the field were Messi, Suarez, who can't run anymore because his legs are gone, and Busquets. And the rest of them were poor. And I saw about 4 or 5 games. There's nothing about the MLS, despite their protestations they're going to be the 5th biggest league in the world, that indicates that they're going to be. Massive translation. Comparing him to Ange Postecoglou managed the national side of Australia. He managed at international level. It might have been people to Ange who, because they weren't doing their homework, but he'd managed 4 or 5 sides in Australia, won everything with those 4 or 5 sides, and managed a national side at elite level. So there was a translation into Celtic. This is a punt. I mean, Nigel was a great player. I tried to sign him at Palace.
Did you?
Yeah, we tried to sign him. He didn't. He went to West Ham, and then we beat West Ham in the playoff final.
Oh, right.
Irony.
Yeah.
But I signed his midfield counterpart.
He was a good player.
He was a great player.
Yeah.
I wanted 2 players, him and Mikel Ledgerwood.
Yeah.
We signed Ledgerwood. We didn't sign Nigel because
he's a good broadcaster as well.
Yes, I understand.
And, I take what he says, but I also do wonder, can this fella translate it over here?
Yeah, well, he's commenting on American football. He's watching American football. That's his job.
Yeah.
It's not surprising he's patronising an American football manager, because it would be probably slightly remiss of him not to.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he can translate, whether the Scottish League, managing another team in the Scottish League, maybe. Managing Celtic.
Yeah, it's a massive change.
It's a massive change of culture, a massive change of level, and a massive change of level of expectation. That doesn't mean he can't do it. I would be amazed if Celtic, after having bought themselves time to really give themselves an opportunity to look around the market and see what's really best for them, leapt into that.
Yeah. Well, it's International Week, and we are pretty sure, and I'm pretty right about this, I think, that in, say, the next 48 hours, as
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 3 minutes past 12, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. Australia have lost a second bowler to injury ahead of the first Ashes test. Back up quick, Sean Abbott's got a hamstring problem and joins captain Pat Cummins in the treatment room. Meanwhile, frontline seamer Josh Hazlewood's had a scan after pulling up in a domestic game. Stand-in skipper Steve Smith was playing alongside Hazlewood.
He literally bowled his last ball and I looked at him, I said, how you going? He's like, nah, a bit tight in my hamstring. And it's like, get off the field, disappear, you're done, go and figure it out. So, yeah, fortunately it was just some tightness and he's good.
Cricket Australia say Hazlewood will train as normal ahead of Perth next Friday. Meanwhile, Ben Stokes says England quicks Jofra Archer and Mark Wood are in a good place.
It's great to have the X factor that Joff and Woody possess in terms of pace. Woody's obviously got over his knee surgery that he had quite a while ago. He's overcome that and he's looking really, really good.
There's loads more Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube. Rob Edwards has arrived at the Wolves training ground. He's expected to be announced as their new head coach today. We understand Edwards is taking Middlesbrough assistant Harry Watling with him to Wolves. Two Portsmouth fans who dressed up as stewards to watch September's South Coast derby at Southampton have been banned from football matches for 3 years. Brothers Kane and Dale Green have pleaded guilty to fraud by false representation. And some big news from the world of racing. Last year's Cheltenham champion hurdle winner State Man is out for the rest of the season. That's after sustaining a tendon injury on the gallops. There's more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
A report found years of abuse of young men at a County Durham detention centre went unchallenged, and thousands of NHS job cuts are moving forward after the Treasury approved a £1 billion fund to the redundancies.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. For a limited time only, get 15% off a set of 4 selected premium tyres. Don't miss out and book today at quickfit.com and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Rain moving from the south into central areas, wet across northern Scotland as well. Elsewhere mostly dry, windy in the north and southwest, mild in the south.
Afternoon, everybody. It's 6 minutes past 12 noon this Wednesday lunchtime. This is Wednesday, November the 12th. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. Coming your way live on your TV as well. You can watch the show as well as listen to it, and many of you are doing that on a regular basis, and we are thrilled at the numbers that are doing just that. So thank you, and keep joining us every morning between 10 and 1 live on talkSPORT. Of course, it's an international break, and we take time out from the likes of the Premier League and the other big leagues all around Europe at this particular time, because all the nations still find that the ones that are in with a chance will fight all the way to get themselves to the US of A next summer. Some of them are out already, but others are still in there fighting, like Scotland, like others. England have got the job done, and of course they can look forward to the finals in America, where they hope to do well, better than they've done in the past, maybe go all the way. Anyway, that's for another day. We'll see what happens when we get to that stage. But I'm delighted to say that at this particular point, we're joined by a man who's managed at club level and also at international level as well. Former Croatia, West Ham, Everton and West Brom manager Slaven Bilic joins us live on the show. Slaven, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Jim. Good afternoon, Simon and Danny.
Good afternoon.
Hiya, mate. Slaven, good to speak to you. Here's the thing: as an international manager, is it tough or maybe not so tough to build your culture, togetherness, your identity in these breaks in a domestic season? How tough is it to work on international players at a time like this?
Well, definitely tactically is and also psychologically is not that easy. It's much harder, because just very simple, Now, when the players come to the national team, some of them are coming very happy because they won last few games. They are top of the table, or they are fighting for the titles or whatever. Then some of them are in dogfights in the relegation battle. They had a bad streak. So you have to balance that, and you have to gel them into the team, And but then again, you are dealing with the best players. They are all, of course, very, very proud to play for a national team, and that's the good thing. The bad thing is like there's no transfer window. If you don't have a left back, you can't get a left back in January or during the summer. You have to improvise sometimes. Not if you are talking about England and such great monsters of a national team, but that is the problem that occurs.
Yeah, we're going to talk about England in a second. Let's talk about your Croatia, top of Group L, all but there. What chances do you give Croatia once they get out there next summer, Slaven? And also Luka Modric, how does he do it? Still doing it at 40.
I mean, Luka is unbelievable. He's the symbol of this generation, although it's not his generation anymore, because he's 40 years old. But let's say the impact he had on Italian league, we are not talking after Real Madrid. Everywhere you go, it's a step down. But he went to AC Milan, the massive club and everything, and he went to Serie A, which was not very long ago the best league, the league in Europe, and everybody is raving about him. The impact he had in the whole league, not only AC Milan, it's unbelievable. And of course, as long as he plays for Croatia, Croatia is always, not one of the favorites. We are never one of the favorites. But then again, we are the only nation, together with France, I think, that in the last couple of World Cups were in the semifinals.
Yeah.
For such a small country, it's unbelievable. So I wouldn't be, and also we were in the final of the National League a couple of years ago. So the manager and this generation are doing great, and they have every reason to believe that once they get to the tournament, and they will, of course, they are capable of repeating that again. Because the belief that they have, and the passion, and also the quality, because everything starts and ends with the quality at the end of the day, they can do it.
Yeah, actually, quality, Danny. You talk about Modric, there is quality.
He's unbelievable talent. He's just by all accounts, a great guy as well. Everyone I know who played with him at Tottenham spoke about him on such a high level, and even Madrid, one of these humble geniuses, let's say. Slaven, can I just ask you about West Ham? What was your thoughts on the start to the season and the problems they've had? Did that come as a bit of a surprise to you?
To be fair, yes or no. The problem that Potter had is not maybe only the beginning of this season, but also the end of last season. When they count you that in 20 games you didn't win enough and all that. So he entered this season with the problem, not having much credit and everything. And the beginning was not good. There wasn't gel in the team. They didn't have enough weapons up front. They are defending at set place, and especially at set place was very, very bad. And then when you put all that together, it wasn't easy from the beginning, because I was at West Ham, and nowadays the world of football is crazy. But there are clubs that you enter into the crisis unbelievable quick. After a couple of games, they lost first game against Sunderland. First game, away game, newly promoted team, Sunderland. They lost, I think, 3-0 or whatever. And suddenly, nothing is good, crisis. So it was, unfortunately for him, he was dead man walking since basically the beginning of the season, which is absolutely not fair. But it is like that.
Listen, here's the thing, Slaven. There was talk of you returning there. Was there any truth in that?
There was a bit. Yeah. There was a bit. I was close or whatever, but I didn't get the job. They cut Nuno, who is a top manager and who done a great job at Wolves, not to mention Forest. And to be fair, after first couple of games that they were struggling also with the system, and there were some players who were out of the position. Last couple of games he put strong team and it clicked, and 6 points in 2 games. I think he's a top manager, and I think they're gonna they're going to be okay this season, you know.
I think one of the things West Ham fans have been saying is that they don't feel that the coaches are given the freedom to make their own teams or the signings. It's all done from the hierarchy. I mean, is that your interpretation from far? I know you've been at the club, so maybe you know more, but the fans' perspective is that the managers are kind of brought in but not given the help or not given the freedom to bring the players in they want.
I don't know, Danny. When I was there, okay, it's 7-8 years ago, and the world of football also in England changed. You know, before you had a manager and you had an owner. You know, and now it's more. You have more head coaches than the managers. All right, but when I was there, it was we had Tony Henry, who was head of recruitment. But I remember what David Sullivan, and at that time also David Gold, David Gold, what they told me before I signed the contract, they told me you are decision maker, and of course it depends on the finance and all that. But if we agreed on finances, then it's you. From I don't know 6-7 transfers, you are doing basically 6 of them. I remember that David Sullivan once told me that occasionally, every couple of years, he likes to get one striker, you know, but not first choice striker, maybe third or whatever. But it's you. It's you. Sometimes you are not happy with the budget. All right, we can talk about that. But I think, the manager or the head coach now at West Ham is basically not the only one, but he's in charge.
Yeah, where do you see them finishing, Slaven? I mean, they look as if they've turned a bit of a corner. They beat Newcastle, they beat Burnley. I mean, they're going in the right direction.
They are going well. I believe in them. I believe in the players. I thought there were always enough, enough quality there, especially in midfield and on the wings. You know, like Gerard Bowen, he's like top player. You know, they have Somerville, they have in midfield, they have Paqueta, they have Souček, they got Fernandez from Southampton. You know, good players, really good players, and I think once they click, and it looks like still early days for Nuno. Okay, once they click, I think, and they get a confidence and everything that comes with that, you know, they're going to grow, and I think they're going to be safe.
So you said you were close to coming back to West Ham, Slaven. Well, let's finish on this. Do you still have a burning desire to manage again in the Premier League? Is that the aim?
I mean, who doesn't? You know, of course, I am very exciting of the possibility of returning to the management and Premier League or Championship with the club, with a good club that has ambitions to go up. I showed myself, and I think I proved myself in Premier League. I also proved myself at West Brom, and of course, with my knowledge, with my experience, with my pedigree, I think that I would be able to steer the right club back into the Premier League.
Slaven, always good to speak to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Slaven Bilic joining us there live from Croatia. It's 12:15 this Wednesday lunchtime.
to North London. Eubank Jr versus Benn on talkSPORT. Let's get ready to rumble! This is insane! Never seen anything like this!
The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank. This is a moment in time that we will never forget.
And the final scene, absolutely delivered.
We'll catch you next time.
Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
More than a few contenders as to who could really claim the title of Real Deal this week with Selco Builders Warehouse. Danny's alongside Simon this Wednesday lunchtime. Danny, when you look at it, Pep's got to be up there, has he not? Reaching 1,000 games in management, the real deal. Where do you stand with Pep in the argument as to who is the best, who has been the best, who continues to be spoken about in that conversation when it comes to Ferguson, when it comes to Wenger, and now Pep? Is Pep out there on his own now?
I think there's arguments for Fergie and for Pep. I think with Pep, the fact, three big clubs, he's had success at all of them. The way his City team played and some of the seasons, the level of play that we saw, we hadn't seen previously in terms of the goals scored, points amassed. The impression he's had on others, the kind of the style that people seem to want to copy, and the influence he's had on the game, you could argue, yeah, he's probably the greatest.
Yeah. Would you like to have played for him?
Oh, how could you not?
Yeah.
You can't. It feels like you're always learning something when he speaks. I mean, he does have the odd rant where it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen over years of being here and some troubled times. But generally, his impact on the game throughout, argue even down to grassroots at some level. I've been involved in grassroots for many years now, and you see a lot of these young coaches who are trying to get their teams to play like Pep on a pitch that isn't conducive, and you actually should be letting the lads work out that they can do their own thing and play long now and again. But yeah, he's going to be in the conversation of most sane people, isn't he? It's the best ever.
Danny, I want to throw this, since you're in our midst, I want to throw this at you, because at the time you told us this guy's going to be the difference between Liverpool winning and not winning the Premier League title. I'm talking about Florian Wirtz. At what point will Florian Wirtz become the real deal? He's yet to score. He's yet to register an assist in the Premier League, and he cost Liverpool 116 million quid.
Well, I think it's fair to say that I and many others have been a little bit disappointed in his levels. He's had glimpses. I'm not too worried about the numbers side of it, because he's been in so many. He's made a hell of a lot of chances for people, and he's been in some good positions to score. But I think now you're getting to the point where you need to see more. You're thinking, come on, like now you've got to start standing up and be counted, because the argument I've said from beginning, and it's fair, and I think is true, is that physically he's looked a bit lost in certain Premier League games with the intensity of it, the power of it. He's actually had his best games in Europe, where he's looked really good, which kind of makes sense. Different game, more technical. Even the Madrid game, to a point, he played well. The Premier League's relentless and ruthless and physical, and he's looked a bit off it I've got no doubt.
Gary Neville said, I thought Wirtz looked like a little boy. This was after the Manchester City game.
Yeah, he got physically manhandled a couple of times. I understand that.
Yeah, he says he was mauled out there today by Matheus Nunes and by others. He's been chucked around the pitch. I mean, it doesn't sound or look good for this player at this time.
I think he'll come through it because he's just so bright. His football's so intelligent. He's so classy. I do think his biggest problem is the physical. And I don't mean he's going to become a speed merchant and dynamic overnight. That's not what he is. But he looks like... when you're not physically brilliant, and that's not your attributes, you have to be really fit and on top of your fitness. And he looks like he's a bit leggy. He still does the distance. He still gets about, but the sharpness ain't there. When I looked again, actually, last week or the week before, at all his Leverkusen stuff, he looks much sharper going past people and with the ball. He looks a bit off it. So I've got no worries about him, but I don't think it's going to happen overnight.
Is Julian Nagelsmann right, the Germany head coach, in that it's difficult to look good in a struggling team? Because the overall situation, says Nagelsmann, doesn't make it easy for Florian. The whole club isn't stable this year as it was last year.
No, I think you can look better even in a bad team than he is. If you've got that much quality and you've got a bit about you can still look a real good player. When you think of Suarez walking through the door at Anfield when they were struggling and he went in and just looked $1 million. No, I think you can still have a good impact. So I don't really agree with that. I think it helps if you walk into a team that's winning and playing well and good front foot football because you just step in and it's like everyone around you's on it. Of course, that makes it easier. But I still think you can shine on a dark night, on a dark night, if you like, in a poor team. You can shine, and he's not shining enough.
No. Apart from Ekitike, Simon, regards Liverpool's summer recruitment, who else has shone?
None. It's not gone well.
Alexander Isak, when he pulls on the shirt and he gets an opportunity.
Isak's the most understandable one because you can't not train and not have a pre-season anywhere and do it on your own.
That was down to him.
I know that, of course. I'm not saying it wasn't. But his quality we've seen in the Prem. We know he's capable. That's not a concern. The style doesn't matter. He's one of these really intelligent forward players who can link with anyone. He'll be absolutely fine. He's just got to get himself fit. And he's had a little niggle, and he recently missed a few more games. That's not going to be a problem.
Is it too late now, Danny?
You mean to win the league?
Yeah. It's gone.
I think so. Yeah, because they're not playing well enough.
So Isak, Wirtz, Ekitike can forget in their first season retaining the title with Liverpool.
Yes, but they could win the Champions League. I mean, you look at PSG early form last season. Never, ever, nobody was saying they're going to win the Champions League. In fact, it was thought they wouldn't even qualify. And then they went on to play the type of football we haven't seen since Pep's best Man City team. That PSG second half of the performance was such an extreme to their first half. And Liverpool are capable of that with the players they've got.
Okay, so Florian Wirtz has some way to go before he can be called the real deal, but Pep certainly can be quoted in that territory. That was our pick for this week's Real Deal with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's Real Deals at selcobw.com.
Reece James is calling on FIFA to move World Cup kickoff times to help players deal with the heat of North America. Meanwhile, Bukayo Saka's told talkSPORT he's backing Thomas Tuchel to reintegrate Foden and
The talent they've got, it's going to bring a lot of quality to the team. So it's very exciting. We're in a good place as a team and looking forward to what's coming this camp.
England versus Serbia is live on talkSPORT tomorrow evening. England are already qualified, as are the World Cup holders. But Lionel Messi's not sure he'll be fit enough to contribute next summer, and he says he doesn't want to be a burden to Argentina. Now, we understand Wolves will finally announce Rob Edwards as their new manager today, possibly early this afternoon. Elsewhere, Australia have lost another bowler ahead of the first Ashes test. Back up quick, Sean Abbott joins captain Pat Cummins in the treatment room. Josh Hazelwood's also had a scan on his hamstring today, but is expected to train as normal ahead of next week's match in Perth. Meanwhile, Ben Stokes has brushed off criticism from ex-players he calls has-beens over England's lack of big match preparation.
I think there's a lot of factors that have changed over the years of cricket. So yeah, in terms of preparation, we've been preparing for this for a very long time.
Loads more Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel.
It is Wednesday lunchtime. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We are live in talkSPORT, live on your TV as well. And of course, it's International Week. And when that time comes around, it gives us the opportunity, and we take it, to dip into other areas, such as the EFL. And we're about to do that, but in the company of a man I have known, I don't know, for about, I'll reveal who it is in a second, for about 3.5 decades, I think. 35 years. Former defender with Luton, Villa, Pisa, Celtic, Chelsea. And now he's kind of gone full circle because he's back in the boardroom and he's vice chair of Charlton Athletic. One of Simon's favourite clubs, of course. And I'm talking about Paul Elliot. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Jim, lovely to see you, and obviously your distinguished colleagues. I call them friends. Hey, Simon and Danny, good people.
Yeah, life at Charlton. You enjoying it?
Wonderful. What a great project. I mean, gates now at an all-time high. For the 17 years, we average about 21,500. It's been a marvellous 12 months under Nathan's unbelievable guidance. Obviously, we got promoted last season, 25 clean sheets. You know, there's a real energy and vibrancy about the football club. We've reconnected with a fan base, which was, you know, with previous ownership models, was very challenging.
Yeah.
And I think that if we're looking at all areas of the club, the women's football, Karen is doing a wonderful job. They're top of the WSL too. You look at where we are, you know, we got promoted, 23 points, 15 games, you know. The most important thing for me, compete and consolidate. The Championship's a great division. In terms of competitive balance, I think it's one of the leading ones in Europe. But we have shown, you know, Nathan's made some excellent acquisitions. Recruitment's been first class. And, you know, he's the driving force along with my chairman, Gavin Carter, who's a wonderful guy. And we've got some great owners, GFP, Global Football Partners. They've done a brilliant job thus far.
You say consolidate. You're only 2 points off the playoff zone.
Yeah, I know, Joe, but, you know, listen, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
And it's that transitioning from League One into the Championship. And recruitment does it with Nathan's ferocious leadership and Curtis Fleming and And I just feel at the moment we're in a really good space as a football club. You know, the football club, obviously, ultimately the first team and the outcomes drive that. But in terms of the culture, in terms of the environment, in terms of the connection with the families, in terms of, you know, the community, in terms of the pipeline of talent that's come through the academy over many, many years, the club as a collective, in order to be what we want to be, cohesive, sustainable and elite club, you know, community football club, we are on track. All I just say is, we're positively evolving. We're humble. We're working hard. And I just think it's great. I mean, I love the job. You know, Charlton's my first club. In-laws live around the corner. Brilliant. Grew up there, went to school locally. I love it.
Simon, up, aren't you? You're Simon, every word.
No, Simon, he believes in it. He knows what I'm saying.
Shallow, Simon. Leave him alone.
Simon's all right.
Any team that comes out to the Red Robin is bobbing along should be humble.
Yeah, you know what? When I was there for 18 months and thoroughly enjoyed my time, but that used to get my goat because there's better songs. But
yeah, but it's a key peacock thing. The whole,
I know.
You know,
you're proud
history.
of the time you spent
well,
there.
Danny, you know, it's a great club and great people.
Well,
good people.
20 years ago, I was
20 years ago in the Premier League.
Full every week. We were playing well. We had some good players.
Yeah,
and academy was good.
Yeah,
is the training ground evolved?
Yeah, same there, but it's obviously got bigger.
Yeah,
you know, we've modernised the club, Danny. You know, you're going to Charlton Football Club. It feels like a football club. You know, they're good people on the ground. It's a humble place, a good place, and I am just so delighted for the fans because they've suffered, right?
Yeah.
In all honesty, with transparency, you know, we've had, you know, one or two parties that's been involved in the club for the wrong reasons. And I think since GFP has come in 2023, they've created that in a football club, you need continuity and stability. We've got both, and that equals a success. And that's come from the boardroom, stability in the boardroom, as I said, with Gavin's leadership, and the whole business model of the club. I mean, we've got record merchandise and stuff. It feels there is so much energy there. On a match day, kids are turning up from 11:30 playing in the fan zone, playing.
Brilliant.
You know,
it's a great stadium as
it's
well.
It's a proper
it?
football club. It's got a Premier League infrastructure.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a joy and an honour and a pleasure for me.
Do you want to join in this Charlton loving?
Well, I'm pleased to see Curtis Fleming's doing well. He played
top class.
Played for me for 2 years at Palace.
Right.
And he was a very good influence in the dressing room because he was another senior player. So I'm pleased to see that Curtis has done well.
Yeah.
But I find it difficult to have any emotional affection for a team that did the conga around the stadium when they relegated Palace on my last time.
I didn't.
You did the bloody conga.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, we'd all do it.
I did not do it.
You probably couldn't. You were too old at the time.
Here's the thing, Paul. When you were appointed vice chair, you said in an interview on the Charlton website, such an appointment sets an excellent example to English football about the value of diversity, particularly given the significant underrepresentation in the boardrooms across our 92 clubs. Do you feel even now English football is still lacking in that area?
100%. I mean, if at the end of the day, in these areas you've got to work. I can work on an emotion. I've been an elite player. I've been at the very vanguard of all the challenges, the racial abuse and everything else that's gone on. But ultimately, the game has positively evolved. And I think that if you look at football now, you look at the data, look at the people that play the game. 48%, 47% in the Premier League are from diverse backgrounds. 34% from the EFL against underrepresentation of 1.6% in boardrooms, and I'm one of them. And then you look at the managerial and the coaching, 4.4%. So if you look at the data for the last 3 decades, there is a huge underrepresentation inside the boardrooms. Now listen, I or anybody else, all you want is what I call equality of opportunity, fairness, transparency in the process, integrity in the process. And that's why, to be honest with you guys, I've been lobbying hard in my own world, the independent football regulator. And if you look at the 5 key pillars around corporate governance, one of them is equality, diversity and inclusion, and clubs recognising that they should reflect their local demographic. You want the diversity of skill sets. So you can't have all Paul Elliots, but you can have a Simon Jordan, a Danny Murphy, a Jim White. You all offer different skill sets, but it's not just about also diversity of thinking. Yeah. That's what it brings you.
I mean, you also said you want Charlton, your club now, to be the league's authentic diversity club and use that as a platform for success. What does that mean? The authentic diversity club.
Well, what that means is, I mean, if we look at our club is multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnically diverse and multi-faith. That's the local demographic. It's incredibly diverse. So that has to look like in the workforce, on the field of play, throughout the community, from the boardroom. So what you're saying is, Charlton is representative of what I call multicultural, multiracial Britain. So that's when I talk about being the most cohesive, sustainable, diverse club in the country.
I know that
and
means a lot to you, doesn't it?
It does, because a lot of that's shaped through my own experiences as a player growing up. Remember, I played my football in the 80s, the 90s. The level of reprehensible, repugnant abuse that players of my generation got.
Yeah.
And that was, by the way, let's be clear here. Racism is not a football problem, Jim. It's a societal problem.
Sure.
So whilst this is going to be prevalent in society, it's prevalent in football. So I want what all players, you speak to players, they want fairness.
Yeah.
You know, be there on meritocracy, you know. Give people, when it comes to recruitment processes, have fair, open, transparent recruitment process for the best person to get the job.
What I would say here, Paul, is I was at Crystal Palace on Sundays, you know, Simon, against Brighton, and then walked from Stadium to Norwood Junction. And a whole bunch of Palace fans from different ethnic backgrounds praised you, Simon, for the work you did in your time at Palace in the very area of discussion that Paul is having with us right now. So you've been involved in this very discussion. You've been a player in this discussion as well.
But Simon, I think what Simon done though, Jim, when Simon done that, he looked at somebody. He went, John, what Simon is thinking as a businessman? Can you do a job for me? Whether you're a player, administrator, finance, if you are the best person to do the job for me, I don't care what you look like, what your disability is, what your sexual orientation is. I'm going to hire you because I want the best. Because what people need to understand now. You've got a social and a human upside to diversity, but there's an economic upside to diversity.
You'd agree with that, Sam?
Look at the value of the broadcasting rights, £7 billion every 3 years. So 47% of that is from diverse backgrounds. So isn't it fair to say that 47% is equity?
Yes.
Players from diverse backgrounds, and that feeds the whole ecosystem. Those broadcasting rights.
I would follow on that.
I do to some extent. I mean, I've never employed anybody without merit being at the centre of it.
Bang on.
I don't like the terminology DEI because I think the equity part of it is a misrepresentation. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing because equity is about a patronage of a particular ethnicity rather than equitability. But I'm, of course, in the business of wanting meritocracy. Of course, you know, people will argue about representations and underrepresentation, overrepresentation. No one argues about the overrepresentation of black players in the Premier League. So that representation is quite comfortable with.
Correct.
Underrepresentation has to be talked about, and it has to be looked at as to why. I don't like the race to the bottom to suggest it's about racism or lack of patronage and you only employ what looks like you, because we now have a global ownership model.
Correct.
That ultimately you don't necessarily have Arabs managing Manchester City because you have an Arab ownership. So it isn't about that. It's about the best in class. And we have to work out why the representation isn't there.
Yeah.
And if it is because it's being blocked, if it is because the game suffers from pockets of endemic racism
and biasness,
or bias,
conscious or unconscious.
Yeah, I mean,
bias.
I loathe that expression because I don't like it, because I think it's a get out of jail card for people being able to say something that they can get away with. Unconscious bias, you didn't know you were doing it. No, I'm quite capable of knowing my own mind. If I don't think someone's good enough for the job, it doesn't matter what their colour is. The balance is about how we get to a situation where there's fair transparency and representation.
Precisely.
And I don't think there should be any problem with that. I wouldn't have a problem with it. And I've been in most of the boardrooms around the country. And
Yeah,
I
but
don't
you're a
think...
minority, though, Simon.
Well,
Not many people. I'm not just saying
I don't
this.
think I am, Paul.
You know, because
I don't think I am. This argument constantly gets thrown at me that I'm in a minority of thinkers because I don't care about whether you're orange, black, purple, green, white, if you're male or female, if you're able or disabled. I don't have that position. I think, can you do the job or can't you? I think most people, with due respect, that own a football club, will look at someone and say, can you do a job for me? And if you can, I don't care where you come from.
So then, if that's the case,
ask the question why the representation.
Precisely. And historically.
But this coaching situation as well, because I've often had this conversation with Chris Hughton and other people, talked about it and said, well, is the channel open? Why are we not have we got enough qualified coaches coming through from a particular ethnicity to be able to get the representation? Because we certainly have it on the playing field. We certainly have captains of football clubs of all colours and persuasions now. So it can't be about leadership. It must be about the pipeline.
Correct.
And why isn't the pipeline bigger?
Yeah. Paul, stay with us because I want to get your take on a situation that has developed regarding two clubs, Preston North End and Burnley. And I'll explain more when we come back after this.
to North London. Eubank Jr versus Benn on talkSPORT.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This is insane! Never seen anything like this!
The winner by unanimous decision, Chris Eubank! This is a moment in time that we will never forget.
And the final scene absolutely delivered. We'll catch you next time.
Just a reminder, this afternoon we have a talkSPORT grudge match on the paddle court. Andy Goldstein, Darren Benn take on Jamie O'Hara, Gabby Bonlahor for the bragging rights here at talkSPORT. You can watch the whole thing live on talkSPORT's dedicated YouTube stream for the game, or listen to H&J from 1 o'clock. Live updates from Ollie Klink. I'm delighted to say a man I've known for many years, now the vice chair of Charlton Athletic, Paul Elliot, is with Danny, myself and Simon as we get to the business end of today's show. And as I mentioned earlier, Paul has said in the past that he wants Charlton to be the league's authentic diversity club and use that as a platform for success. And we've discussed that. Of course, we've discussed that. But Paul, I can't have you here without mentioning this. You previously worked with Kick It Out and the FA. What are your thoughts on this situation? And Simon and I were discussing it yesterday with the chief exec of Preston, Peter Ridsdale. The situation regarding Preston's Milutin Osmaic being given a 9-match ban for racially abusing Burnley's Hannibal Mejbri. Now, I'm not asking you to comment on the specific case here, but the wider point, do you think that charges of racism should be proven on the balance of probability? Because those are the words we're talking about here.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, listen, I'll try and give more of a generic overview, right? I mean, it's about thresholds, right? You've got the balance of probability, you've got beyond reasonable doubt. Under the FA's TOR, terms of reference, they have enshrined balance of probability, haven't they? And at the end of the day, that, if you look at all the historical cases, Terry against Ferdinand, okay, in a proven, that was the FA's threshold. And then you've got Sophie Jones. I remember she's a female that against, she used inappropriate language. And then obviously you've got Suarez and Evra. Now they are all based on the threshold of the balance of probability, which is at least minimum 50%, which has obviously been led by an independent FA commission. So I think at the end of the day, listen, I can only go back to when I was a footballer, right? It was like the Wild West. You were getting that kind of language, alleged language, players, supporters, all what people get on social media, I got that to my face. So where I'm coming from, the balance of probability, in Paul Elliott's view, I think is an acceptable form. Some people may disagree because they should think, well, there should be a higher threshold, but that's not applicable in football because it's civil. You've got then the criminal standard, which is beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
But that's not applicable to the terms of reference within the FA and professional football. Some people might say there's an argument for it. Me personally, do I think? The answer is no, because that's civil. So
I mean, Paul, Osmaic strongly denied the charge.
Yeah, but that's one word.
But it was proven to be found on the balance of probability.
Well, and that's the point, and that's the independence you have to trust in the process. And I think that, like all these things, at the end of the day, you've got one person's word against another. Somebody has said something, somebody has heard something. Things can be open to interpretation. But what I think is very important as well is, when I'm talking about multicultural, multiracial, diverse, education's very important. You know, you've got to, you know, you've got agents who are making a lot of money from the game. You've got stakeholders. Players have to be also educated about the protocols, the customs, what language you can use, what language you can't use. This is all under E3, which is within the FA's guidance. So I think, you know, I'm a man for zero tolerance. And if you've got the balance of probability, and the balance of probability is nobody was there, only the players really know, but then you have to look at the evidence independently. You have to look at that. Only that deep down in their heart, only the players know. But then you have to look at the evidence. There's a process that's been in bed.
Probability is unjust.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about repetition. This is somebody that might have said something, that may have said something, that no one can prove has said something, that has now been sanctioned and is now branded a racist. And that, to me, is a lower burden than should be put in place. And the FA, to me, are cowardly. It's a virtue signalling exercise because they know that the racism word is something that becomes incredibly problematic for football because it's supposed to operate at a higher level and a higher standard. With all due respect to a conversation, the FA chair lost his job because he said coloured people rather than people of colour. And we've got a sentence that goes around in word salads. We have to get the balance right between what's right and proper. And what nobody in their right mind, besides a racist, wants racism to be at the centre of anything. And anybody that's got a civilised look at the world says that racism must be called out and people must be pointed out and people must be proven to be a racist. Because if someone has misunderstood something, if someone has misheard something, then that has to form part of it. And my concern about the balance of probability is that it leaves a margin. And that margin, if it's as serious and significant in culture and society now to be branded a racist and all that goes with it, the reputational damage, you want sponsorship, you want to be able to further yourself in your career, you're a racist now. And that's not something that goes away from you, it's something that stays with you in perpetuity. And whilst you can find a way to redeem yourself and perhaps rehabilitate yourself, and I loathe this expression of educate yourself because it's patronising, you need to be made aware of things. If you educate yourself and you still don't come around to someone's point of view, then educate yourself some more. I hated that patronising statement during the BLM marches that we had to endure in this country during 2020. But I do want people that are racist to be facing the consequences of it.
Absolutely.
And an balance of probability, I think, is a lower burden than should be in place.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, I see the coherence of Simon's argument. As I said, given my knowledge, my experience, people may disagree with me, but I say, you know what? You've not walked in Paul Elliott's shoes as a player.
And that's
for 3 decades. That's why I've done what I've done in terms of activism, in terms of trying to make a difference, in trying to influence the regulator. The EDI piece is now embedded as one of the key pillars, just because you care about the game. And there's always going to be people, you know, we're here to be challenged. You know, look where society is now, you know, don't know where we're going, but we're in an interesting place. But football for me is still the greatest game in the world. 5.2 billion people watch the Premier League. It's, you know, the EFL arguably for me is one of the greatest in the top 5 leagues in the country. The power of football to unite, to engage, to bring people together, to challenge these areas. There's no better sport like the power of football. And I'm seeing that, feeling it, living it. So these are part of the issues that we have to face and challenge with the same vigour, with the same leadership.
Paul Elliot is still loving the game. Of that, there's no doubt.
My brother Jim.
Good to speak to you. Paul Elliot with us live in studio. I mentioned it earlier, this talkSPORT grudge match on the paddle court this afternoon. Goldstein Benn against O'Hara Agbonlahor. Ollie Klink will update us. Ollie, I think, joins us. What have you got for us?
Gentlemen, welcome to Paddy and Canary Wharf for the talkSPORT World Paddle Championships. A huge grudge match between Team Drive, Goldstein and Benn, against Gabby Agbonlahor and Jamie O'Hara. I'm joined right now by Andy Goldstein. Andy, what you got for this?
Just doing my barnet.
He's got a mirror in front of him doing his barnet. Who are you sponsored by today?
Oh, Goldstein's Golden Paste. Big shout out to him. I found, this won't work on radio, but if you're watching, I found that in Bentley's bag. I don't even know what that's for. How would you describe, people listening, how would you describe what I found?
I would say that's an extended paddle racket handle, but we can't be sure, I'm afraid. What we can be sure of is this.
That's a shame we lost the line, but not to worry. Maybe somebody cut it. Maybe somebody stood in it. Anything to do with you, Simon? Simon and I will be back tomorrow from 10 o'clock. I want to thank Danny, as always, for being with us here on a Wednesday. And my old chum, Paul Elliot. I can't tell you how good it is to see you today, mate. Brilliant. What a time you had playing for the mighty Glasgow Celtic. It's 1 o'clock.